more steps toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience, destructible terrain on Tago, and a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here, so pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players' Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Good evening and welcome everybody to another PUBG Player Cup. My name is Kovo. I'm joined by Felix again. We're switching through every day now, it feels like. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Kovo. Yeah, it's hasn't been that long since I've been here the last time, but Gibson was kind enough to shop for Mark yesterday, and here I am today once again. But once again, Mark's going to be back soon, but the start of next week, obviously. But yeah, until then, you'll have to make do with us.
We'll be just fine. We'll be just fine. If you're wondering what's going on, if you're wondering why there's already a stream again on the PUBG Battlegrounds channel, just a few hours after PGS ended, this is the PUBG Players Tour. This is the TPP series that everybody can sign up and play and get themselves into a PUBG Player Cup. We had 4 scrims this week, the little bit of blobs in green, and we had 10 teams qualify and 6 teams being invited, I think. Maybe 11 and 5. I think it's 11 and 5. And then we have the PUBG Player Cup, which is happening and concluding today. Best of 8, and we are playing the last 4 games tonight.
Yeah, I think at this point, almost everyone should know the structure that we've been having for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, once again, if you don't, this is kind of the the ultimate graphic to get you guys up to speed. It's been an explosive few tournaments up until this point, and you guys had an explosive day yesterday as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think FUT Esports with a great performance, am I right?
FUT Esports finally showing up again. They had a really disappointing Super Cup, right? You were here to watch that live. But yesterday they looked good. They are no longer playing from a Czech LAN, right? So that's always good. And they are playing with a sub yesterday and with their full roster tonight. So outperforming with a sub, with Justy, their coach, Miracle, whatever name you know him under. I call him Justy because we're close like that, you know?
Wow.
But they played really well with a sub. And now they are here with a full roster tonight. So they are looking really good to lock that in.
Man, I wish I could call people by their nicknames as well. Man, it must be good to be Kobo in the scene, doesn't it? I saw a little party watching PGS8 with a couple of others viewers just a couple minutes ago, and you had a couple of these really great nicknames. You're gonna teach me one day. But yeah, you saw it, you heard it already from Kobo as well. FUT Esports with a great performance, but that wasn't the only team that really put up numbers. We saw no names, as you said as well, right? Not too unexpected, I'd say. It's a very experienced roster, but one that we haven't seen too much in the finals, let alone the qualifiers.
Yeah, that is a big name to be looking out for, ironically, the no-namers or no-names, as they are a sort of a mix, right? That is a lot of win or die players, a lot of GG, the Gaming Gladiator players coming together, because the Gaming Gladiators are sadly exiting the PUBG scene after recent, it was the opposite of success. I don't want to say failures, but the team hasn't been super hot, so the Gaming Gladiators are out for now, and the teams are reforming with the org behind them gone. And then I think a few teams are on the right side of the scoreboard that we're looking at as well, right? We saw Ascend there in a late game, a second place. That is the majority of the placement squad points they got in the whole evening. And once again, not looking super hot here.
No, unfortunately not yet. I gotta say though, they've never really looked too hot on the qualification stage, and then it's more about the finals for them, isn't it? It's more of the finals. Maybe they'll take another week for them to qualify. I don't think they will. I think they will qualify today, but even if it is, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see them in the finals, so not too much worried there. We're gonna talk about Bushido though as well. Really interesting, because when we've seen them, be that qualifier, be that the finals, they've always struggled with placement points a lot. This has really turned around yesterday, right? This is one of the first days that I've really seen them be at the very top in terms of placement points. 16 points. That's almost that's actually equalized first place together with FUT Esports, who's got 16 placement points as well. That's very unusual. They like to frag, but they like to frag early as well, and that usually is a very risky endeavor. So I'm glad seeing them back up on top as well, and I think they're going to qualify too. 32 points, sitting very comfortably in fourth place.
Very comfortably, and I think setting themselves up for an easy day too. They don't have to do all too much. They just have to get a few more points on the board here. 32. Thanks, production, for getting the leaderboard up so quickly. If you're wondering why we're talking about everyone at the top, it's top 8. Top 8 will qualify to the next Super Cup. So there is $1,000 on the line tonight, and the first place will get the major share of that, and then it trickles down a bit. But there is $5,000 being paid for in the Super Cup. So that's the big goal that everybody's got ahead of them. And to get there, they have to get top 8 in one of the cups. And tonight is the first chance to lock that in. So we're going to be looking who makes it into that top 8. And I have to say, I would say the top 6 right now, maybe, are looking really solid. So if they don't completely fumble, they should be able to lock in a lot of the slots already.
Yeah, it is Sunday after all as well, so FaZe Clan, they'll be in shape. They'll be in shape, despite only having 7 placement points. They've had enough fragging power yesterday for them to, show what they're made of either way, and I'm expecting that to change today. I think they're going to get a whole lot more placement points than they did, obviously, yesterday. Let's take a look at some of these head-to-head statistics. FUT Esports against No Names, the top 2 teams currently in the lobby. Average total points of 10.8. This is what we kind of expect to be happening for FUT Esports more consistently. Yet again, this is one of the few games where they really were able to do just that, right? 4 average placement points as well, which is a whole lot, tells you a lot about the story, a lot about consistency as well. They've made it far into most of these rounds. Average kills as well, obviously 6.8, leading the charge there in the lobby as well. And you can see it, right? Almost 1,000 damage dealt on both of these teams. They've just been dominating.
Yeah, dominating in similar fashion, I would say, right? When you look at similar placement points, similar kill points, FUT is separating themselves a little bit on the kill points. But if we look at these two teams, very different story. We have Fairy Tail and Bushido, and they gotten their points in very different manner. It's 2.3 placement points a game for Fairy Tail, right? 6th place on average, still pretty good. And they get 6.3 kills per game. But if you look at Bushido, other way around. Way more placement points, way less kills. So Bushido, like you said, uncharacteristic for them. They are usually a frag-heavy team. Yesterday, they were just getting into a lot of good spots, and then not really fragging, not really farming out of them, especially considering that they threw away a few late games. So uncharacteristic, Jesus, amount of placement points for them, and not as many kills as we usually see them with.
No, not really. Talking about kills, we're at the topic already. Brightside is currently leading the charge, and a couple of foot players obviously behind him. But I want to talk about Celtic as well. He's been having a really strong day yesterday. Yeah. We said, right, Bushido, they've been inconsistent leading up to all these TPP tournaments, you know, in the midst of what we've seen throughout the last couple of weeks. They've been kind of up and down, but they haven't really found their groove. But I also said, I think that's going to change. I think all of these teams, they get more and more experience, and Bushido is one of them, right? They've participated in every single tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Just like for Esports has. FaZe Clan as well, almost. We said that the more they play, Sen as well, the more they play, the more they're going to get into the groove, and the more they figure out certain types of changes in comparison to FPP. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Let's get into the first of the 4 matches we're going to see today. It's going to start off on Miramar.
Starting off on Miramar, North Plane Path, Northwestern Plane Path. Not really pretty for some of our teams as we're heading into the first game of the night. We are playing 4 different maps today for everybody that's a little bit newer here, trickling on in. We're going to play one of each maps that are in the competitive pool. So that's Miramar, Tego, Rondo, and Wrangel. And that means not a lot of chances for teams to get points on the board. Not a lot of teams to come back. Not a lot of chances for teams to come back from a bad game. And not a lot of chances for teams to sort out their loot spots, right? To figure out where everybody else is going and how can react on this. So you can already see a few clusters there towards the southern side of the map. A little bit of a crowded area northwest of San Martin as well. Interestingly enough, Fairy Tale not really stretching over towards Cabrera, but actually sticking around and contesting Bushido a bit.
We'll have to wait and see how that is going to shape out in the next couple of minutes. Ascend is not too far off either. So if they decide to maybe isolate 1 or 2 players, which I could imagine Ascend, they haven't really done this lately, but could imagine if the timing's right, they might just do that as well. Especially in the position that they're in. It might be worthwhile getting a couple of points here and there, but I think too many teams for them to really do anything about it. Third-party potential is huge, obviously, throughout that northern San Martin area as well. It's not easy to fight all around these places. And you can see first players already being picked up as well. I don't think anyone really wants any fight on any positions I can currently see. I think I'm going to try to dodge as much as possible. I'm completely mistaken. Never mind me. Didn't see the Fairy Tale player actually entering this compound, being across the street as well. One player already driven down towards the west side of it. He might just loot up and try to spring the trap, but his teammate is getting the information where this player is, and he must have a pretty good idea by now.
They have all the information now. They're just grouping up, right? Getting the last bit of loot. Katurkin is already cruising on in. He's going to take an angle from the other side. And then surely Celtic comes on in as well to reinforce. If Bushido really wants this, they should get it now. They should get it before there can be any support from Fairy Tale. It ain't looking like it, though. It ain't looking like they're going to speed this up all too much. And it's looking like Fairy Tale is even able to reinforce. So while the crash comes out, it's not looking like Bushido is able to get the better end of it. It's not looking like they could convert this to anything just in time.
No, it doesn't look like it. Gonna have to wait and see. It's taking a whole lot of time now. Big time in the early game that's now being taken off from both of these teams. And it looks like he really has made it out indeed. I'm not sure how that pickout happened. Someone should have had an angle on it, but he must have perked the car just about perfectly behind the houses that we could see from the southern side. And somehow it really indeed did get picked up. No angle being taken there. It's going to take Bushido a couple more seconds now to obviously loot up. There's a bit of time wasted on their part as well. Already maced it, but unfortunately just, nothing happening out of it. But the idea was great. Execution not so much. And we'll see in phase 2 whether or not that really mattered. Verkel isn't too perfect anyways. They wouldn't have had prio on anything either way, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. But yeah, it's definitely going to irritate him to some degree, right? You have such a perfect setup. Yeah. Someone just drives through the middle, literally like between 3 of your players and picks up a play, gets out of there as well. It's essentially all open field as well. The only reason I can imagine on why he didn't get that frag really is that utility and scopes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Accessories haven't been that great for them.
I think they, yeah, like you said, they were lacking loot, right? That's the only excuse, really. Interesting phase 1 here, because if you look at the plane path, right, Felix? Plane path was super far west here. Oh, beautiful lines drawn by me, by the way. And that means there's tons and tons of space in the east that's completely free, right? Everybody knows that east is just up for the taking, and either you wrap around or you get an early EP. And if you're getting an early EP, like Okak, for example, right, they can just land east, take all the cars, and take tons of prio positions here. So if you find a way to abuse that really fast, if you find a way to wrap edge quickly, you can get yourself tons and tons of space. But interestingly enough, Okak might be the only team to do this. FaZe is trying to play center. Nobody else has wrapped early, and the only teams that have wrapped early here have already lost players on the south. So far, nobody really benefiting at all from this insane amount of space on the east. It's really just Okak.
We'll have to wait and see if Ascend is trying to make their way across the valley and then maybe trying to enter from the eastern side. I can imagine them doing so as well, because they must know FaZe Clan is going to be somewhere around it. That's their usual entry point. Even though, I gotta say, I'm just surprised to that FaZe Clan didn't even go further east, which I think they would in an international tournament, an international setup like this, where they, you know, try to get as much macro play in as possible and try to play as smart as possible, as opposed to here, you know, where they can really just confront just about any team, you know, get away with it. I think then they probably would take all that space on the eastern side, but by the looks of it, Ascend might be the only team that's really trying to stretch towards that eastern side, and gonna have to wait and see whether or not that works for him. First couple of shots being taken now, though. It is indeed on the first place team, or the second place indeed, but one of the teams at the very top. It is No Name. Stante hitting a couple of shots, as you said, right? Kind of a mix, but a very strong mix indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a rear shot on the finals as well.
Shout out to Dante for showing us that has a bike parked in there. Thinking about the broadcast as well. Very, very nice. No idea why there's our Okak player who EP'd into Minas when the rest of his team is on the east side of the map, so not quite sure what's going on there. But I am sure what's going on here. It's a full breach. It is Tung 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 Sahur on the full breach versus Formulation Gaming. I think they killed like 2 of that same team earlier, so they know exactly that this is a team low in numbers, and they want to make use of that. Now, Yokore, though, seen on the outside. Kapi has a shotgun on the inside. Gotta be careful, because if they don't stay clean here, then it's not really worth it.
Not really. And Intense, he keeps on looking for it. First Molotov now being thrown by Tung 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 Sahur, which is a name that I didn't expect to be saying while casting, but well, the brain rot has indeed caught up to us.
Ballerina Cappuccina.
Yeah, don't even get me started, man. I saw some really fun skins, actually, from some of the players as well. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's see if Kapi can finally get the shotgun down. He does indeed. Looks for the second one. Almost hits it as well. Oh, he still can't hit it. How's that even happening? He's got one more bullet in the chamber, and he now misses that one as well. Has to switch to the AOG, but he continues to fight. His teammate indeed has fallen in the meanwhile, and he will as well. Not before securing another knock, though. That's not going to matter in the end. As he goes down, rest of his team out as well, down to just 14. But man, that looks scary for a second. If he hits one more of these shots, maybe he's got 2 more in the chamber, could have been dangerous.
Could have been really, really dicey for sure. It's super interesting to see as well that he switches to FPP there, right? We've seen that a lot. We've seen that a lot with players trying to get a little bit more comfortable in these close quarter engagements, especially inside buildings, getting the shotgun out. For me, sounds like a use case for third person, to be honest. Kapi decides for first person there. Feels like he's a little bit better. Chris gets a second there. He gets Mexi as well. And he makes things very hard here for FaZe Clan. They got the opening knock. They got Brex, or I'm inting, down first. But Chris is holding Ascent in this fight and maybe even giving them the upper hand here.
Yeah, but Ascent doesn't really want to follow through all the way despite these 2 knocks. They want to secure the knock. Excuse me, they don't want to secure the knock. They want to secure the res here, which is an interesting decision, to be honest. I feel like, looking a couple months back, I think Ascent would have just taken the fight instead of tried to secure the knocks instead of getting back up. But then again, I think he was bleeding out quite fast. And after all, you can never really fault anyone for it. And you can see FaZe Clan hasn't really been able to get these knocks anyway. So great play coming up from Ascent Clan, really managing that balance really well. Do we go for the rest? Do we go for the flushes? They did have the upper hand, but they still stuck to the rest and still managed to secure at least some of the knocks. 2 indeed, before the rest of the players from FaZe Clan will make it into the distance. But great play coming up from Ascent. I'm surprised we'll see that challenge this early. There, as you said as well, right? There's so much space on the eastern side, how you analyze perfectly. They could have very well dodged this, but after the entry has been taken, He obviously wanted to get that fight done as well. And as Chris even shoots a couple more shots at them, more information for them as well, and where FaZe Clan is now going to remain. And now actually, with them knowing it's just a 2-man in there, we have a pretty good setup on the northern side. If a northern shift does happen, they've got not only lots of information, but a great entry point as well.
Yeah, super solid. From, almost, like, not losing the game, but losing a huge amount of your game to suddenly getting 2 points, staying 4 alive, tons of information. It's a huge salvage, especially when you look at the zone where Chris is in such a good spot. Like you said. Big difference maker. Yeah, it's Chris for Ascend. Glider on the other side. Vorpal Swords coming in from the south. Gonna spot Foot Esports there. Gonna get all the information they could ever want. And with 13 seconds on the circle pop and them coming in nicely on that southeastern edge, they are also setting themselves up for a pretty solid game here. But again, a setup is nice. Information is nice. Keeping players alive is nice.
Oof.
But if you're on the end of that circle, if you're on the northern side of that circle, everything you worked for this game has just pretty much gone to waste, right? The only thing you can really keep is 4 players up, and now try and make Ascend towards the south. Teams on the south are looking good though. Slam G instantly moving. Tung 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 Sahur instantly splitting out to take space as well. But so many teams on that northern side just fully in vehicles.
It just does not feel real saying that name, but we have it here. And actually, Tung 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 Sahur in one of the best spots now, immediately on the roadside distance. Yeah, I saw someone having that skin, like almost the exact skin of the shark. In one of the first weeks I've passed it, that was definitely one of the most creative skins I've seen in recent times. Like the blue sneakers and like the shark outfit. Just man, PUBG gives you options, right? PUBG does give you options. Sometimes they're not utilized enough. But these players that play this game every day, they will find an opportunity to make a meme even out of skins as well. Great stuff though, as I said. Quick rotations for a lot of these teams that were centralized before. Other teams that had pride on the southern side almost immediately recentered. Lots of good spots now being taken as well, as you can see, right? Eastern hillside of Picado now being heavily utilized too, and that's where FaZe Clan is actually trying to branch out to as well. One of the players, it's tough to spot out who it is because he's changed his name again, but he does make it up the hill. It might be...
James.
No, Gustav can't be Gustav. Okay, so it's got to be James, yeah. James obviously makes it up the hill. It's got back up in the distance, but for now...
Sociochny soldat. Whatever sociochny means.
You know what? Let me translate that right now.
I mean, soldat, that's going to be warrior. We got that one on lock, but... it's going to be another creation from James. He's on the Russian grind. He's learning Russian, and he apparently loves the language more than anything else. But it's interesting from FaZe here. I think they have two... When you're a duo so early in the game, you have kind of 2 ways to approach it. You can try and send center and go really greedy for some high-risk, high-priority spot. Or you can split up and each try to maximize points just by being sneaky, right? Just by staying undercover, maybe ratting a team, getting yourself 1 or 2 flushes. And they go for a little bit of both here, leaving Gustav in the compound, putting James up on the hill. Split approach, not really staying very quiet, not really staying undercover, and we can see on the map as well that Aogiri Tree is already looking at James.
Yeah. Might be a bit of a problem, but so far, I mean, it's TPP. You can't really cross that distance that easily. Especially not with Tung 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 Sahur in the open field compound, even though I think these sidelines aren't even the problem. It's more like the cover from his teammate down in the open field and that little compound that we saw him drive off of. And that's some pretty good cover. Ascent now finally making that rotate that we thought they were going to do in phase 1. All the way towards the eastern side. Grabbing that open space. And it's going to work out, I think, just fine. They've got lots and lots of cover down there. A couple of shots are actually being put towards them. Or was that the only... I think that was themselves, actually. Doing a couple of shots just for fun. I don't think that was from the distance. But yeah, they'll find themselves an entry to the southern side. 11 seconds until just about phase 3 pops. So they won't make it exactly for the next circle pop timing, but I don't think that's got to be the goal anyway. So I think they'll just try to reposition into Las Leones. Played out of Las Leones potentially, but that shift though might see a little bit of a different outcome now. Look at this. For Esports, even they have rotated all the way around, wrapped all the way towards the eastern side, repositioned themselves really nicely. 2-1 split. They've got almost the entirety of that eastern side, and if Ascent doesn't know this just now and does decide to kind of changing that original plan to actually make it into Las Leones, we might see them fight off Foot Esports relatively early on yet again.
Looks like they're going to Los Leones for now. On the other side, Bushido. Caught in a bit of a tricky spot, honestly. Caught quite in the open here. Can't really move all too much. Smoke line comes out, but nades in the smokes, and that's going to be tick too short. But the damage is coming towards Metabay. If Sorry I'm Crazy doesn't get himself caught on the hill here, which he is almost trying to do, this should be disaster for Bushido. I don't think they're getting out of this. Damage is coming in from multiple angles. Belief is finding one. Belief is finding the second in the smoke as well. Just like that, Bushido, a team we talked about a lot in the pre-show, a team that consistently got themselves into late game yesterday, will not get themselves into late game with at least half of their members in game 1 of tonight.
Metabay goes down. Not the perfect start they want it. They do need a couple more points as well. We said it. They're almost safe, but not quite yet. They could solidify it, though. They could make it perfect in this first game. Just a couple points being needed. I think 5 or 6 should probably be enough for them to make it across the finish line. And the meanwhile, Fairy Tale, we talked about it as well, right? Where do they really head? What's kind of the open space somewhere around the circle center? And unfortunately, a lot of it was taken already. They were kind of forced down into this compound on the big valley. In the big tip. It is a strong one if the circle does shift towards you. However, we've seen that happen very, very rarely. And it does indeed often favor to go away from that big tip, away from the rock side there. And ultimately, that's gotta favor Tung 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 Sohua yet again. We saw them recenter phase 2. We just saw them solidify their position there. No one's really contested them on this, not even the rotation part. No one's really contested them at all this entire game. Ooh. Oh my word. That's one hell of a mortar coming in. Fairy Tale taking it towards Bushido. That's one more player almost being taken down. Depends on how the next mortar is really hit, depending on how the ammunition situation is looking like on either side as well. But that is it, mate. It's one more player being knocked down. Even if it stays, the revive time is going to hurt.
Damage is definitely being dealt. Same could be set for the compound here. That's the flush coming on through, or I think there's a re-knock actually by the mortar. Nice nade onto Chopchick. Makes that compound fight a whole lot harder than it could have been. Arguably 3 not getting the better end of it, even though they were holding off. And Storm Crest is actually being shot in the side by Dante as well, but they make that breach work and they get the better end of it. Making this a big, big problem for Augury 3. Hero, completely caught on the hillside, has to try and hope that Dante doesn't connect the bullets. He stays alive for another little bit, but they're giving this game away very quickly here.
Yeah, just wanting a little bit too much. Too many teams all around them. Too many angles, too many sidelines. Really tough to kind of focus on just one team. And then obviously that team nade as well coming in, unfortunately. It was a beautiful nade though, but unfortunately hits the wrong enemy. Or the wrong person just inside that compound as we saw. But yeah, too many angles, too many people. Especially now with Freestyle coming over the ridgeline as well. That's going to make it even tougher for just about anyone. Everyone's still kind of caught up in that skirmish. Yes, most of the fights are now, at least in close proximity, are being done. But so many people still need to find a spot somewhere in the circle. And this should have been a knock as well. Somehow, one of the players actually make it in. And look, maybe there's a small chance. The circle is moving, however. And Kantix, he's got the big advantage now. Up the ridgeline, Blue Zone touches the enemies already. One more nade being thrown across. He peeks it. He does hit it as well. This is a great spray. And his teammate helps him out. But unfortunately, he's being caught in a Molotov. That's a great utility play as well coming from the other side. That was just about as much as they could have taken. Running in from the Blue Zone. Never mind. Maybe Meva goes down as well here. Has to be careful. Once again, Kantix is already down and out. He's too far in the Blue Zone. Rest of his team is across the ridgeline as well. So he can't be knocked right here. Now, even 8 He's charming into their mix. He takes down Sorry Am I Crazy. How is this even turning around for them? Timber gets taken down as well. What? He might just do it 1-on-3 here. He might just do a 1-on-3. Just one player left standing. Remember, he knows exactly where he is, but so does the enemy. And now there's the next solo rotating in. He takes him down! Oh, what has he just done? 1v3 just like that. One more team being eliminated. He will be traded out, but by an entirely different team as well. And I thought Freeside was just going to roam free on that western hillside, but no. The solos have something to say about that.
Just something. Not a whole lot. Just a quick 1v3 is what he has to say about that. No problem at all. And, like you said, the solo strike in there, really just no team, no full team actually getting away with anything. Vorpal Swords, They have one left standing. They've been breached by belief. With Ascend looking over the shoulders, trying to greed into this as well. Trying to collect a few of the kill points, maybe. Molotov comes in, closes out some of the space. Maybe buys them enough time for a res now. As Ansley loses his teammates. Oh knows, he is in a 1v2. Doesn't have a whole lot of lethals left. No flashes, no nades, no mollies, nothing. So he has to bide his time here, and that gives Vorpal Swords all the time in the world to get that res.
More nades being thrown inside, but he hits the same spot 3 times. This time it's gonna work, though. I was gonna say, maybe he has to try a different position, but ultimately you can never be sure. It's the mind games as well, right? You need that position 2 times, make it 3. At one point, maybe someone is gonna expect to not have a nade there for a 3rd time in a row. Maybe it's the 2nd time even. I didn't quite catch the first one. Might have gone a different way. But either way, he does take him down. Good stuff. This is good stuff as well. Oh, wow. For Esports for the first time now, being on the short end of the stick in a fight. But Recap is still in a really, really bad spot. Realistically, unless he hits some really, really great nades, he shouldn't be able to really take him down. He's got a bit of a problem here making it across. Might have just actually cost him a couple seconds there. Maybe. The flash is going to come through. I see a nade down the hand of Recap. And he's still not being contested just yet. He doesn't throw all the way. He's smart about it. He knows if he is on top of his teammate, the nade's just going to hit his teammate as well. And he's probably going to die. Even though 80 might not. With the amount of HP he arrived in. But yeah, he plays it smart. Waits for the rest of his teammates. Repositions. Dodges that nade. Maybe this one's going to do a bit of damage as well. He doesn't know it, but he does indeed. And now he pushes across the ridgeline. Barely sees the head. That hits the head anyways. Doesn't even need the body. And 80 might just save his teammate's life.
Big play there. Big aggression. With the well-placed nade as well. Fairy Tail come out of the compound. They clean up Bushido. But they instantly have a new contender on their hands. No names pulling on up. Trying to get the nades on out. The util comes over. 4v3. Numbers were an advantage for No Names, but very quickly traded out. Very quickly equalized. Now Rock's trying to make it work from afar. Yetinek has to be careful. The further he steps on up, the more he's going to get third party from the compound, the more he's going to get shut down. You can see the same thing is on the minds of Fairy Tail as well. They have the better circle position. If they can lock this down, and if they can wait for Rocks to be pushed out of zone, maybe even get the flush on Dante, then they're making this work, and they're making the circle work for them. There's the flush. Now, if they don't fall to the close range players, all they have to do is take out Rocks. So they're setting themselves up for success here, and they're looking good so far.
Really, really good indeed. It's a great ridgeline to hold this, and the circle works perfectly in their favor. If you really take a look at it, almost everyone still needs to move on that opposing side. That's a great flash. Picture perfect flash, actually. The second one as well. But, man, I don't think Rox is going to make it in. It's just too big of a difference. They really need a whole armada of smokes right in front of them to make that happen. And Brightside already takes him down. Rox hits the floor, is being stolen away, but doesn't really matter too much. So they got 2 1v1s potentially, or rather a 3v2. If they're unable to isolate these right in front of them, they should win as well. They've got a bit more time. Phase 6 starts just about now. And it's a good shift for them yet again. It's a really good shift again. They might just stay alive in this ridgeline. Once more, compound on the southern side has to move out almost entirely. Tung doesn't need to move out just yet. You're going to wait for all the Western teams to finish that fight and then move out into the open field. That's going to happen phase 7 earliest.
Gotta maybe even get on that roof. Get themselves all the angles they could ever want. Now that they don't have too much to contend with on the north or east anymore, they can give themselves the liberty. Slam G on the other side. Boostic. Basically the man of the match yesterday. Picking up right where he left off. Nice little nade, no problem at all. Gets a bit of help from Lurex. Shuts down Foot Esports. No struggle. All easy for Slam G. Just like that, it's only T-Bone left. And it's a firm hold for Slam G, who still have one more competitor on their south. Ascend have crept their way on in from Los Leones. Avoiding fights nicely so far. Gonna be a competitor in the late game.
Nade in hand now. Shoot it perfect, actually. I think it rolled just behind the car, actually. Still survives. Prone's just in time.
Second one.
Minimize the impact. Second one. Oh, doesn't go behind. The wall there, and he actually takes one down as well. Excellus hits the floor. This one might be perfect. It still isn't enough though. 16 HP. How does he survive this? The blue zone now comes in with the blue zone grenades to top it off. Akim finally is able to take him down. But look how close that was. Look how close that was to destroying the rounds and the hopes of winning this round. For Tung Sahur, 40 Esports stays dangerous. Man, the solos have just been crazy this game. So many individual actions. Again, that ruined teams' rounds. Fortunately for any Tung Sahur fan out there, they're not one of them. Let's take a look on the western side yet again. Fairy Tail still in that skirmish. I would have expected that fight to have concluded by now. They have the advantage. They might have wanted done that actually, that fighting before Tung Sahur is actually finished with that fight on their own, but they haven't, so it might be giving them a lot more third-party opportunity now again.
Playing it rather safe, making sure that they catch rocks on the cross, so now they're in a 3v2. They actually gained the numbers advantage on that fight, and I think they just don't want to push down into a P90. Maybe they've even heard it ring off. I can't blame them. Scary gun. They have to thank T-Bone a bit for keeping the compound busy for so long. That's a different team, though. That's now a team coming into Fairy Tail. It's the Vorpal Swords pulling up from the south. They're making this harder for Fairy Tail than it was a few seconds ago. They want to get involved. They're peeking over. Bombi has to be careful. Just like that. Ooh, nice spray. Buys them a little bit of time, but they are so pinched right now, Felix.
Yeah, they really are. This is why I don't really necessarily understand. I would have loved to for them to just, you know, get in there. Try to attack that 3v2 a little bit earlier. Grab these, not only kill points, but also, oh, wow! Brightside, but also the placement point I was about to say. But man, there's more for them in here, apparently. Brightside, with a great 1v1, wins it against the team that we said earlier has to make it out of the compound at some point. It is now phase 7. And slowly but surely, everything concludes here on that western side. So many plays still need to reposition. Fairy Tail still with a really good spot, but they have to be careful. As soon as Tung Sao has got the angles right, I think they'll be in shooting distance, in line of sight as well from that team. Molotov now being shot mid-air. Great reaction. Bombi stays alert as well. They can see the immediate repositioning from Fairy Tail. They know this team needs to make it out now. No names. One, and the second one as well. Both go the way of Bombi. Great reaction as well. They know they didn't need to focus on this zone, on that team on players from No Name a little bit too early, and they didn't. They focused on the team on the street first. As soon as they realized they wanted to make a move, they sent 2 players over there, and then they repositioned as soon as No Name needed to be focused on. Then they repositioned and actually were alert on that team. So position making once again.
And they're doing the damage here as well. They're taking out one. Almost the second falls as well. Tung Sahur have to be careful. Akim, 17 HP, keeps him in this game. Fairy Tail still a 3-man, and look at Slam G flexing out again. The Util looking good. That's a blue zone. That's a double blue zone. Tung Sahur is in massive problems. They gotta run out. Excelias, last one standing for his squad. Can he even make it into any sort of safety? I'm not sure if Lurex has line of sight. It doesn't seem like Lurex knows. He's more busy with Fairy Tail on the other side of things. So they are gonna stay alive for now, but it does feel like their days are numbered here. Tung Sahur coming out of the compound, but not getting any foothold in this circle.
Lurex, one more smoke right in front of him. It's gonna deny a couple more sidelines coming in from Ascend, we've missed this entirely, but who's made their way through Los Leones through that sideline, the northern sideline from Los Leones, to really get to this point, and they fought really valiantly. 8 frags as well for Ascent right now. 4 players up. Only Slam G can really have a say in this round in terms of, obviously, man advantage. Fairy Tail is down to 3, and obviously Tung Sao was just a solo that made it through the open field, now left standing. They've had such a great spot as well, but they were really caught off guard, I think, with how clean Fairy Tail played that western side. Look at this, though. Call me Bombi, the biggest fragger for them in this round, goes down. And this might open up The opportunity now for SlamG to get closer to them, to kind of close the distance, to reposition again, but they will fight. Tung Sahur first of it. It's only a trade though, and that's gonna make it tough. That's only a trade. Look at this, the center's already got the sightlines down. First nade's coming in. Oh, what a nade from Brexco. Hits it, perfect, pinpoint accuracy. Kliga in the meanwhile, I think steals away one of the players as well, or even knocks down Mogor. He's being flushed down and out as well. And we might just see SlamG with 4 players left standing in just a second ago now be the first team to go out after Tung Sahur, and by the looks of it, that's what's going to happen. Ascent is taking control.
Taking control from the south. SlamG decides they can't withstand the pressure. They better go north. They get themselves a 3rd place at least. Arctics is going to try to lock in the 2nd as well, trying to do the damage with the blue zone now, but it's not going to reach, not even close. And it should be a matter of, does Ascent have any more util to flash Arctics out? But even if they don't, he's got to come out of that smoke. And you can see Pains is doubting himself a little bit, wondering if there's still a player behind him, but those puzzles are going to be resolved here in a matter of seconds. They're going to realize, okay, 1 Fairy Tail, 1 SlamG. We know where everybody is, we know what everybody's doing, and we're going to close out the entirety of this match. 12 frags, 13, make it 14 in a second here. April's down to half HP. They're trying to make sure he doesn't deny, but he's not even trying to, and it might be Brex who falls in the end. There it is, it's the deny in the smoke. Fairy Tail goes out, 13 for Ascend in the first game.
Wow, what a performance. Man, I said it today. Fortunately, the jinxing streak is over. I said it today. I don't think Ascend is going to stay all the way in that 11th place. I think they'll bring it back. They've shown us in the finals that they can not only play really well in TVP, they can win some of these tournaments as well. And what a tough road as well. This wasn't an easy game. No. Right? This was far from it, actually. We haven't really seen too much if we actually go all the way back, and I think Cole was going to walk us through it as well. If not now, then after the pause. They had to make their way from the eastern side, where even get there to fight a Feist clan, by the way, to then rotate into Last Leonis. We saw a bunch of teams being there to fight their way through, took many isolated fights as well, came out of that with 8 frags, and managed to win the round because of it. Massive match performance coming out from the Germans.
Yeah, absolutely big. Absolutely big. Coming around from the south here, as they were one of the furthest north teams on that shift, right? Remember where they were fighting with Feist clan? North of Minas Generales. The game ends on Los Leones. They creep all the way south. We were a little bit worried for them because they were driving next to Foot Esports, right? Who were locking down that eastern side. They managed to go all the way around, find themselves a nice entry, and from that entry, they slowly spread out, slowly take control, and they take enough control for SlamG going away from them, right? Willingly. SlamG giving up their positions to try and find frags on the northern side of the circle, because they were realizing, we're not winning this on the south. We gotta maximize points on the north. We gotta try to get what we can. Interesting side fact there. Highest damage in the round is Tung Sahur from that center compound, from that warehouse. Not even close to getting the most points this round. Not even close to getting the most points this round, but most damage, because they were just farming with DMRs, doing lots of damage to everybody, but unfortunately not able to reward themselves with the points.
Yeah, that's kind of like the downside of playing that compound in the deep center, right? You have a good position, no one's really going to breach it, no one's really going to contest it, but unless you can really either get the shifts or you can really third party a lot of teams, which realistically in this circle just wasn't really happening, then you're not really getting a lot of points. You have to finish it off, and that against Fairy Tail, that strong Fairy Tail side just didn't seem realistic.
Didn't seem realistic in the first one, but we have a second game already cooking up for you, so we're not going to waste your time all too much. We're going to go to a very short break, and then we have 3 more games for you tonight, so don't go anywhere.
more steps toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience, destructible terrain on Tago, and a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here. So pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
Short breaks are over. First game is over. Ascend dominating the southern side of that circle. We have 3 more games tonight, but we should have a look at the leaderboard because we're now 5 games in our 8-game series, and it's starting to matter. As I'm not sure what you're pointing at, a PUBG logo or just pointing me at the door, or I don't know.
Occasionally I got a flex with my chair. No, almost no one's got that. All right, almost no one's got that chair. I got to flex with it every once in a while. For Esports, still 48 points, but let's take a look at the Ascent. 39 total makes it all the way to 4th place.
All the way.
You're jealous of that
up.
chair, by the way, aren't you?
I am. I just thought that was so random because there was nothing that was anything close to a chair that it was in the conversation. But sure, yeah.
I just felt like it. You know,
flex it all
sometimes
you want.
just,
You know, I get it. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. You have a cool chair.
Sometimes you just feel like hyping up your chair. It's just what it is.
It is what it is. Not a lot of moves at the bottom side of the scoreboard. Not a lot of moves for anyone down there. All of them almost exclusively going down early. We said FaZe Clan, right? 30 points, looking pretty good in that top 6. They're now 9th. So they dropped down all the way from 6th to 9th. Because plenty of teams push themselves in the top 8 here. Tung 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 Sahur, Slam G, all doing good work. The Warp Swords doing good work. And Ascent, like you said, right? Bombarded themselves up the standings.
Yeah, I think Bombardment is kind of a perfect analogy actually for what we saw in the late game there. Lots of utility plays from almost everyone, but especially obviously Ascent, having that entire half of the circle towards the end game and just having that ridge line is able to secure plenty and plenty of knocks in that final fight, especially against Slam G. It was kind of like the main enemy, I think. Even before it got down to the top 2, I think especially before we got down to the top 2, I thought Slam G might have a chance. If they hit it perfectly, if they can close out these fights on the southern side and the other side of the ridgeline really, really fast, if the nades are perfect and they don't even need to get to close range, maybe they can get up to the ridgeline and fight Ascent in a healthy fashion. But that never really happened. Ascent stayed in control, and as we can see, this isn't quite yet reflected in the scoreline for Ascent, obviously because of that day yesterday. But it's getting 7.8 average points, ladies and gentlemen, else we are heading into that second game for today. It's a turnaround. So far, we always curse them. I said this in the post as well. This is a weird takeaway and a weird turnaround more so than a takeaway, right? Whenever I cast at them, they've done absolutely horrible, and I always felt like I was the culprit of it. And these days, seems like it's the other way around.
Yeah. Kobo was the problem, right? That's what you said in the break.
Yeah, hashtag.
just want everybody to know that I am getting
Man.
bullied by my co-commentators, and it's not okay. No, but 7.8 point average is what you mentioned there, and they had 16 points the whole day yesterday, right? So they were on a 4-point average, but just one game turns it completely around for them, and that's a bit of a story that we see in these cups, right? They are very short. They are very, very dynamic. The leaderboard never gets very static because everything is moving so quickly. One huge game, and suddenly you're at the other side of the scoreboard. So any team towards the bottom can absolutely lock in, get one good game going. You're looking at an Okak there, controlling a good center compound. You're looking at a FaZe Clan sending Jimbo early for position. All those things can be just the difference maker, getting yourself into one banger game, getting yourself in the top 8.
In case you've just tuned in, once again, this is the last day of this week's qualification. We are still in week 1, so the top 8 here will advance, but we will have another chance of qualification next week. And I'm not sure if you said it yesterday, but I feel like I've said it a million times by now. I'm not even on every stream, but I'm going to say it again because it's important. Sign up to these scrims. It's your best shot of being featured on a PUBG stream. You think it's very far-fetched? Indeed, it is not that far-fetched. You can make it past that qualification process. So play the 4 days, grab as many points as you can. All the information will be in Challenger mode. There's a link that's posted in the description or in the chat every now and then. You just click on it, you sign up, get your teammates in there, you know, connect in the chat maybe even if you need any teammates to play this. And it might not happen the first time, might not happen the second time, might not happen the third time, but eventually, if you keep improving, if you watch your VODs, if you do the same thing that all the professional players do, you know, play the game most and foremost, you'll have a shot at actually being featured here and compete against some of the best players in the world.
Absolutely. ! Register to get yourself in. Get yourself involved in PUBG Esports. Get in while it's still fresh, while everybody is still figuring it out. Get yourself in while teams are still in transition. Let's be honest here, yeah? And most of these teams have not fully figured out TPP just yet. They're starting to get a grasp on the lobby. They're starting to figure things out a little better. That being said, this is not looking super hot for Celtic. Somebody that popped off individually, very much CSO yesterday. Instantly knocked and flushed. Panzerfaust for the extra BM. That's one going the other way, though. Nexelias can ignore this a little bit, because he can just get the nade around the corner, but it doesn't do the damage. Katurkin now with the Panzerfaust himself. Space Marine knocks him from afar. Good news for Tung 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 Sahur. Should be able to come out of this fight victoriously, but do they come out cleanly is the big question.
Yeah, they really need to. They need this. We saw it in the last game. It's been a problem for them if they lose players too early. Jokery, though, is there. With the K2. But never really see a whole lot being played here. It's going to take him down. It's gotten more and more into the mix, though. Especially, obviously, that fire rate in the close range. It's a very, very viable option. And it does make it work its way. FaZe Clan, though, answers the question that we just asked a minute ago. Is it going to happen cleanly or not? And the answer, unfortunately, is no.
FaZe themselves have to be really careful here, though. They are getting breached. James is the only one in the compound, and Belief has said, well, if you're all the way up on the hill, we can try and get inside that compound. We can try and be a bit of a problem for you. The question is, can they now do anything before the rest of FaZe is here? And I don't think so. Mexi instantly there to help out his teammate. Instantly there to try and provide a bit of assistance. And this is classic FaZe Clan behavior. You hurt one of us, we're all coming after you. That doesn't help James anymore, though, because the nade's good, and he is knocked and flushed. 4v3 in the compound.
No real good angles right now for FaZe Clan, and they're really spread apart. But this nade, ooh, it's a good nade, actually. Unfortunately, no one's really there. If anyone was going to be in the balcony, peeking across the right-hand side, he would have been taken down. But yeah, it's a 4v3 still. And you can see Believe is still kind of figuring out their options. I said it before, I feel like Believe, one of the key problems they have had so far, I think the macrogram is actually kind of fine, but whenever they got into a fight, they give way too much respect to the opposing team, especially now with this FaZe Clan. I can imagine that being almost twice as much respect as that's usually the case against some of the qualified teams. And this right here, right, usually it's a fight that you have to finish quite fast, especially you have that man advantage, but the longer this goes on, the more teams are going to be in your close vicinity. You can see one of them is already really close by, trying to get an angle. This might work in their favor, though. You can see FaZe Clan is actually the team being open to them.
Depending on how the angles work out here, Marselek spotted one. Maybe a bit of baiting going on. First phase cruising around in the car. Gets shot by Marsalek as well. Trying to pop a few tires. Formulation Gaming haven't had a great start to the tournament themselves. I think another 0-pointer to start the day. They need to lock in. They need to get points on the board to try and push themselves towards that top 8. 16 points, I think, is what they have. So even 14 points behind the FaZe Clan in 9th place, right? Big steps needed for them. They don't want to stuck around too long and waste too much time here. Reactive finds one. Storm on request. It's the same fight as last game. The same two teams squaring off. Last one was made a bit complicated by a team nade. This time, it's a knock, it's a nade to follow it up, and it's an instant retreat.
Yeah, it's the smart decision, in my opinion. It's the smarter decision out of the two. Doesn't really make sense to risk your life right there. You throw away... You could potentially throw away the round 4, getting minimal returns. And as long as there's no close vicinity fight...
He got the flush. They didn't dare to get the res. They were being so careful about so many different angles that they don't actually get the res.
Hmm. Yeah, it's to be honest, it's been that way for a couple of qualified teams, and it's part of the whole storyline where we said, right, part of the teams have not only got an advantage in terms of obviously the loot drops and everything, but also in terms of the confidence in this round. In each and every single one of these rounds, you just, especially if you're a known part, like almost any of the parties are so known by now that you know how they will react in certain situations, and you know, FaZe Clan, for example, you know, one of them in a situation where they have the potential, even if it's a low probability, they have the potential to not throw away a round, and you know, have the potential to fight for that knock, they will almost always do it. This isn't the case in terms of expectability of what the enemy is going to do for a lot of the other out of the qualified teams. So there's something to be said about that as well in terms of anticipating enemies' moves, even in a small skirmish like this.
Yeah, FaZe Clan I think have almost worked for that. They have worked for the street cred that they would pull up on everything and anything that knocks their teammate.
What's got the biggest street cred in PUBG? What do you say?
I think in Europe it's FaZe, bro. You know that they're never running away from a fight. You know they're always going the hell in. Gustav finds one that he shouldn't have gotten. Trade comes out. Mexi low on the outside. Not looking clean for FaZe. Vex is out as well. It's a 1v2. Still winnable. His position's well known, but he's got a nade in his hand and he's cooking that over.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good bounce. 30 damage. 1v2 regardless.
Good chance at the nade there. I actually thought it was going to hit, but I think it was Ansley realized. No, it wasn't. It was his teammate, Ansley, realizing that he needs to reposition. Now the first couple of flushes are coming on through. Suddenly, look at this. This is what we've been waiting for. Formulation Gaming. Haven't seen them on the big stages in a while. Not bad, though. Trying to make it happen. Mexi is still standing, though, and he can never be counted out. Takes down Marsalek. That's a big player. Now down. Not out yet, though, for Formulation Gaming. He's got the chance to get Gustav back up as well. He knows the last player is right in front of him. Pops the smoke into the door frame. So that push is going to be a little bit delayed at the very least. Believing on the side is trying to make the rotate happen as well. Wow, another great shot coming in from the famous Trump Templar. As they are slowly but surely making their way through. I think that rest from Formulation Gaming Slams should be back up any second now. But it's the same story like we talked about, you know, from Believe a couple minutes back, right? You need to finish this off fast. And they've been not too pledged by this next shift. So making it happen sometime soon is going to be so much more important. Look, even in this case, even when that position is almost entirely irrelevant, there's still so many teams all around them.
Good nade from Intense, but he does get punished for exposing himself, and I'm a little bit worried about Formulation here. They breach this 5 seconds before the circle pops, and then the circle pops away. They could have been a 4-man on their way to this zone. Instead, they're now getting knocked on their feet. More nades coming back their way. Marsalek almost flushed out. Has to get instantly rezzed here. Intense on his knees as well. Cappy has got to get him back up, and they're going to be stuck in this compound for a while here with Tung 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 Sahur from the south as well, trying to close this out, trying to steal kills away, trying to be a nuisance. I imagine they're going to start popping cars at some point as well, and oh, that's a good spot for Gustav, but does he know Does he have anything to clear it? No, he doesn't really. Now he knows, but he's still outmanned, outgunned, outflanked. No chance for Gustav.
No, not really. I think even Maxi might be in a tough spot. He hits one, though. Oh, Cappy goes down just behind the wall, and he's got time to reposition. Belief isn't even looking his way. He might have just spotted out one of the players entering the building, but they've got no idea. How's he staying alive? Oh, Formulation Gaming is out. Belief has actually made their way around and got a look behind the wall that Maxi has just opened wide for them, and somehow he survives them. That, I mean, doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things, but at least he's in a position now we could potentially isolate some more players. As we said, Believers had problems with that. Lost the play in the process as well. It's a 1v3.
I mean, you say it doesn't matter for FaZe Clan, sure, but it does matter for Formulation Gaming. They need every single point they could get, and I think they got 1 or 0 out of this game, right? They get Gustav out, sure. I don't think they got much more, but crazy scenes that Belief just all walk on by and let Mexi live. They just don't even look that side or to spot the 1 HP Mexi. Now in the end, Smoke Spam comes through. He's better with it though. He's quicker with it. And the old man sits one down. Ansley there for the trade. Should be able to get that res as well, is Belief. Mexi puts up one hell of a fight.
Man, Maxi just, like, legitimately, you can't really count him out ever. There's so many players like this on that roster, and he shows it time and time again. He was the start of the downfall for Formulation there, right? His knock on the wall even allowed Belief to push all the way. Woo! Okay, Pains. Okay. I'm not even gonna finish my point. What a double that was a double headshot, right? I think both of these were headshots. Pains,
thank
my
you.
man. My man. Wow, 100 damage. That was the first 100 damage. Well, exactly 100 damage. Takes him out. Not sure they can do too much with it, but no, okay. Well, it's Chris trying to make them worry. He's actually repositioning. Maybe they can actually get the flush.
Pull up for a
Smoke is
nade.
out. One player's already committed. And if he stops at that rock, it's actually perfect. It's perfect for it, Chris. They might have the opportunity there. I think they brought him... Oh, they had the timing to get him back into the vehicle. Never mind, they got the timing down. It's going to be a little bit of a chase here.
He's playing with his food here. He's just bullying them around. Just seeing if they're going to give him a shot. Seeing if they're going to pose any issues. But they don't. They fall away. And Chris bullies them towards the north. Hilly trying to hold his ground on the south. Has to be a little bit careful. We see that on the map there. Send grabbing a whole lot of space for themselves. Slam G, meanwhile, dealing, dispatching with the problem in the compound. Okak out. Wustik lines up a few more. He's already, I think, the top fragger of the tournament, or the top damage, maybe, of the tournament. As Bushido loses members early in that compound crash. Now taken out in the open. Metabay is not going anywhere anymore. And a lot of the teams on that bottom side of the scoreboard are not looking to close the gap this match.
No. Not really. See how it is for 40 Esports after this one. 48 points. You're reminded they aren't first place. Except for Fairy Tale by a long shot as well. No Names is down to 40. Ascend 39. That's third and fourth place. So they do have quite a bit of breathing room here. Qualification is safe already. You can have some fun with it. They can be a little bit more risky. This would be... confirming that statement. Pixelic does get away though. In the meanwhile, with Brightside continuing to frag. Finally gets traded though. Having him alive is never a good thing. His teammates still got a lot of work ahead of them though. You can see Freeside really starting to commit to this. It's a lovely spot to make a fight happen. It's not an easy one.
April there. Almost gets himself pushed, but it's Bombi from afar. Saves the day for now. Fairy Tail looking to clean that up, looking to get all the angles they could ever want on this, hoping that they don't get third-partied. But Bombi, with an absolute bomb onto Cantix, is just sorry I'm crazy, and he's going to try and fall away from things. Getting bullied by Ascend first, and getting bullied by Fairy Tail right after. Hasn't been a fun game for them. Now he's going to try and escape. And he's escaping into the open arms of a Foot Esports and Ascend. So he's got to be really careful where he wants to go. The swamp is not all too bad for him. But he has 20 seconds until the zone pops. So he can live until then. He might find himself a sneaky spot here in Phase 4.
Man, it's Phase 3. We've got 11 teams standing, 37 players. I mean, Sure, the leaderboard does have some teams that are already safely qualified, but not that many. Like, it's still open and still so many risky plays, so many teams opting to go for early fights, to go for early skirmishes. So interesting how it really changed in the early game. And I mean, I wouldn't even say the circles themselves have been a reason for that. There's just been so many third-party opportunities and so many teams deciding to go for these opportunities, right? Like Face Clan, Believe, Formulation Gaming. Even that was like 3 teams. Now we have like 2 teams on the outside looking in. So that's 5 teams literally being focused on one compound in Phase 2. That's something you see very rarely. What you also see very rarely is a mistake like this. Car being blown, wouldn't even call it a mistake necessarily. He had to make it out somewhere, but his car does get popped. He's tried to find a safe spot. Just about finds it behind one of the trees, but he's being pinned down there already. He has to make a move.
Yeah, not a good time, man. Ascend chasing you around, Fairy Tail killing 3 of your members, and then Falix calls you a mistake. Not a good day to be a free side player. Ascend on the other side, they are getting knocked down now. They've gone a little bit too far into Foot Esports, and Chris, the goat himself, gets himself knocked and flushed. Not gonna be an easy approach now for Ascend, excuse me. Coming out of that prison area into that ridgeline. Looking like a bit of an issue, so they do shift south. They do realize, okay, we're gonna give this up to Foot. And we're gonna try to find a different entry a little bit further afield.
Just called the play mistake, even though it wasn't. Alright, that's a play. Right, that's a bit much. Pains. Nice drive-by though. We said, well, these teams, very told to score the ball. They both don't really need to worry that much anymore. Looks like Ascend is still gonna make it happen. Brexco with the next frag. I think that's against Vard there. As for Esports loses one more. Killy carving in a bit of pressure here. More angles, more eyes now on him. Fairy Tail. Not really too many angles though, fortunately, for Ascend. As they will take down Pixelic as well. Headshot from Kilyakai. Flushes him off. And Ascend still holding strong. Great angles, great positions, but they are only 3, so they still have to be careful. Fairy Tail, if they play this one smart, and with headshots like these, they can turn around a situation like this in just the blink of an eye.
That's Pain's bleeding out as well. Not a res that Ascend could ever get. Not a res that they're even going to attempt. They would rather shift south and get into this fight. You see them creeping in on the minimap here, right? We see Warple Swords and Belief deeply entrenched with each other. Rex just wants to be a friendly bystander. Just wants to have a look over the shoulder, you know? Any free kills here? Any free points? Anything to pump up my Twire stats a little bit? He's down. He won't say no to that. And yeah, gets himself one. Almost gets himself the flush as well. And just like that, Belief is in trouble because they've been backstabbed.
Pretty good though. Right now for Ascend. I thought it was going to be tough. I thought there was going to be more confrontation directly directed towards them, but so far they've kind of been able to like maneuver around all the trouble all around them. Still staying strong, still having third-party opportunity. But I think they know, with this move especially, there isn't too much right in front of them, so they try to get a little bit more frags in. This is a perfect kill. Kilyakai with the Panzerfaust pulls up close. I was surprised there. I mean, yes, it's a nice play, but that's really aggressive. But as soon as we have the Panzerfaust, well, never mind me. That's a free frag for you. And Kilyakai is obviously going to take that happily with a player in the shack. They do lose one in the process, as we said, right? Pain's bleeding out just a couple seconds before. Rather, it's probably been like 2 minutes now, but that was definitely way before It's Chris. As a result, just 2 players. More shots now, more really good shots as well, being put out towards VS. They tried to reposition, they're trying to make it work with the cars as well. The pressure's just a bit too much. Even 2 players from Ascend right now are just dangerous in a lobby like this. And they have arrived in placement points as well. So there's already 6 points being secured, potentially a 7th now.
That's just not fair. They just rock up. Panzerfaust 1. Need another to steal the flush. 2 more nades. Another knock and a flush. Rex pulls out the mini as well. A few headshots. It's just devastating what they're able to do there. It's crazy what they get away with as a duo. Decimating teams around them that they should have no business getting involved with. Now, Ogiri 3 is finding the rougher end of Slam G. They are getting absolutely folded from that side of the circle. Just like that. 2 teams combine. Boostic and Mogora do the job, but Mogora gets himself flushed in the process, so there is some resistance. As I say that though, Boostic with another insane barrel spray finds an opening knock.
Yeah, and I think they're going to fight for this as well. They need to take down this team so they can focus on the rest of it. They have made their way now to the ridge line, but no entry up until this point. 1-8 now behind the rock. This is a perfect nade. Somehow doesn't take him down. I'm not even sure how that happened. Should have knocked him down to his feet, but he stays alive. He wants to be part of this fight. Now they're slowly and surely creeping out just behind this rock now. Their position should have been known, but they're still getting the first knock. Artix takes down G2. And they've just now realized there's still a player just behind this rock. And further, at the UZ, there's another one. Spots out the player at the corner of the smoke. Boostig takes down Reactive as well. In the meanwhile, one more shot coming in from Boostig. He sits them down. Nosferatu hits the ground. He's just on a roll right now. He cannot be stopped. You know how dangerous this guy is. When he gets started, doesn't matter which perspective. FPP, TPP, doesn't even matter the team. He's gonna take you down if he gets the opportunity to do so. And now it's just one player left alive. He could make the 3K a reality. I think they're gonna do it as well. Booze on grenade might just touch him. He's got the jammer backpack by the looks of it. Boostig takes him down anyway. So excuse me, I think it was Artix actually. No, never mind, it was Boostig indeed. So 3K for Boostig. Just a quick and easy one. But, has to be said, now with all that time passing and them losing 2 players, not as much in a winning situation anymore as I thought they were going to be after this fight.
Just another Boostig show. Just another Boostig masterclass. If you've been watching any of the PGS8 games, Hakatori, absolute demonic player from Ukraine. Boostig, kind of the same breed, just a few years younger, just a little bit fresher to the scene, but don't get surprised if that man does big things in the upcoming years. Ascent?
Oh yeah.
They're still a duo. They're looking to get Sorry I'm Crazy out here. They might not know exactly where he is. He's very deep entrenched in this bush. He might actually have a good chance to line them up both. He might have a good chance to literally just use his camera and just hip fire them from the bush. He's trying to see them, but he actually sees a little bit less than I would have thought. So not going to be full free for him, but wouldn't be surprised if he pulls it off.
Boostig and Artix. The streak has been stopped. The train was rolling, but not rolling fast enough. Not quick enough. Because there's 2... That's one of the most German things I've ever heard, but yes. Yes, indeed. The train's got brakes. And which you saw them right there. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, just a tiny bit surprised. I would have very much expected them to survive at least Ascent. I mean, somehow Ascent is standing, but the position that we've seen them in, Slam G isn't anymore, which is a bit crazy to me. But yeah, Ascent, you can see them right here, surviving by literally like one shield and a smoke. Because after this, I mean, just watch it, there's nothing else. Have they seen him though? They could get another placement point and another frag. That's 2 more points. Killia gonna make that 5 frags for him. I think that's almost double what he got yesterday, if it isn't already. Great stuff from him. I think Brexco was on 2 frags yesterday and Kick on 2 as well, if I'm not mistaken. So him getting 5 in 1 round that's definitely a really, really good start. But yeah, obviously now positions wide open. There's no spot to play, and he tried to make the run, at least not denying it. But no name, doesn't really matter that they get it anyways. They are on the top of the leaderboard either way as well, and they will up the antics too. Just 3 teams now left standing. One of them which is Zolo, but the other 2 are 4 and 4. We haven't really seen too many isolated fights in the late game in recent times either.
No, 2 big teams in a solo. Solo who probably won't be able to cross that road at all. Or Vorpal Swords. Looking at the leaderboard as well, this is Fairy Tail team in 2nd place, No Names team in 3rd, Vorpal Swords in 5th, Ascend was in 4th, Slam G was in 6th. It's a lot of the top dogs eating good, separating themselves further from the rest of the pack. Running away with things. Zubila as well. Zubila is well known at this point. He's got a nade in hand. Could try and do some sort of magic. He's got 3 smokes. Maybe get himself towards Dante, try and blow up that little bus stop. But his chances, wouldn't rate them too highly. He cooks that nade as well, which means it's going to bounce even less far. Classic PUBG player habit. Everybody likes to press R before they let go of the nade, but sometimes you would take every centimeter that you could get. Not sure where that one was going. Let's ignore that one. Moving on.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. I mean, I'm doing that mistake a million times each day. Well, not each day, but at least twice a week. Let's just put it like that. At least twice a week, which is a pretty rad ratio already. I'm not a great nader, anyways, though. At least not. Well, I'd say I'm a great nader for people that play publics, but as soon as I watch some of these games, it's gone.
Yeah.
My confidence is gone. I'm not touching a nade after these games. Like, I remember some of the race nades for like 2 weeks back, where he didn't do that much there. He didn't cook it, but it was literally like the furthest distance you could possibly imagine through that one. Hits perfectly, and actually almost, well, it didn't, but almost won the round because of it. Right? So it's not only just random nades in the middle of it, like phase 3, phase 4. No, it's end game nades. And if you've been in endgame, you know so many things that could go wrong there. Wrong timing, wrong play, wrong enemy that you nade, right? Even just choosing who to nade could impact the outcome of a round. And very few of these players that we see in the lobby right here do any of these mistakes. Quite the opposite, actually. Solo player out of the zone. He's going to be taken down any second now. Blue zone is going to be a bit too much in phase 8. And it's going to be down to a 4-4, as we said, right? Full 4-man teams standing on both sides. The mix from No Name against the very played-in teams from Fairy Tail, who is pushed very far against the blue zone, though.
4-4 now. Shout out to the observers. Showing up to the util. And showing up the obscene amount of nades that Fairy Tail still has here. Yeah, No Namers, circle position. They're a little bit better. They get a slightly favorable shift here as well. Makes that even nicer. I already see the emergency cover deployed on the side of Fairy Tail, giving themselves a few of those Doritos. Additional cover. The roofs are going to be absolutely massive for No Names here. The util on the other side could try and do the trick. Get yourselves close with the smokes, and then try and land some nades on these roofs, but not sure how long they can live out here if they want to live out here, but it might be looking like a bit of a breach angle. Maybe with Bombi? No. They are trying to live outside the compound. They are trying to survive for as long as they can, and then maybe as soon as No Namers leave the compound, that's where the fight will start.
Let's go reposition, though. I didn't think it was going to go as cleanly. I thought No Names would have a say in at least one play making it to the position, to the desired position that we see Fairy Tail play right now. But no, the angle's just really not being good enough. No Name continues to not really put out many shots. Continues to be rather silent, so to speak. But with these new positions now, Fairy Tail kind of turning around the situation. I thought it was going to be tough for them to reposition, but all these angles they have, all the positions, they do seem quite good indeed. Remember, next one is phase 9, so it's going to end in the exact center of it, which, yes, they do have the compound, but isn't inside the compound. It's just outside of it, and there's a rather good ritual that we see here coming out from Fairy Tail. Biggest advantage is, though, high ground, and No Name's really got that one on top of the roofs.
Got that until quite late in the game as well. You see it ends on these trees. Shout out observers. But when you see these angles from Yetanek, you know that they have gotten an insane amount of power of the circle. There's the nades now being cooked for Fairy Tail. Looking to maybe line up a duo nade. I think they're trying to close out these roofs, but they're going a little short. And I think it's going to cost them in the long run. Any opener here, any knock is absolutely huge. Now with his own move in as well. Because we know that time is ticking, and we know that Bombi is going to have to leave his rock here very soon, right? He's on that little off angle. He's on that rock to try and keep the compound in check. He's done the damage now. But once he has to leave, a huge angle is eliminated here for Fairy Tail, and so much freedom is gained for the No-Namers.
Yeah, they just need to chill for a tiny bit. They just need to play it smart for a couple seconds longer. 2 minutes 17 until it concludes. But we'll have an answer, ladies and gentlemen, I think a tad bit earlier. First couple houses now being touched by it. They have to make their way a little bit closer now towards the edge of this compound. But it's still got that P90 now. The first nades are being taken into the hands of No Name. Maybe Rox has actually made a little bit of a mistake here. He should have gone down a little bit earlier, I think. Maybe he's got the Jammer backpack, so he can stay a little bit longer. But, ooh, he barely makes it down. I think Colin Bombi had an unfortunate timing there. He looked away at just the perfect set from Frogs to make it down and make it across the middle of the compound, but he's being spotted out by Comp. Ooh, great trades though. Rock somehow salvages that position, that really bad position he was taken into. And he stays alive. But ladies and gentlemen, it's getting closer and closer. Barely any playing room now. Nades back and forth. They know that these positions are nadeable, and it's a double blue zone as well.
Triple blue zone.
Oh, wow.
Triple blue zone with nades to follow cuts out almost anything No Names can do, but so far it's still going in their favor. They're holding on to the tiny corners that are still playable. They're holding on to the tiny bit of space, and now with the blue zones over, the nades are coming on in. That's a knock. Numbers at least equalized for now. Yetinik on the outside, but there is trades, and there's a double P90 coming on in. Nabat cleaning things up, making things possible. Bombi has nothing to say about it. And it's a double in the end from Nabat. And No Name has... They hold on, man. That was rough. That wasn't easy. But they somehow stay alive.
Yeah, man. I thought, yes, No Name's got the position a tiny bit longer, but look at the position they have, right? It's just behind that wall. Like, one nade is going to 100% take down one of them. But unfortunately, the smokes, obscuring the vision, and a couple of nades being thrown out just a tiny bit too early, probably, for Fairy Tail. But, I mean, that's hindsight, to be honest. Either way, I think both of these teams, great round. Both of these teams didn't need that grand round either. I think that's the big story point that we kind of have to talk about. All the top teams having good rounds yet again.
All of the top teams putting points on the board. We saw Slam G there mentioned as well, right? I think they were the highest fragging team in this game. Yes, they did not even make it into top 4, but they were one of the highest fragging teams. And they have again put the points on the board. That's where they belong. Bushido, not a great one for them. Free side, same thing could be said about them. Struggling a little bit around that cutoff, right? Storm on request, not getting a whole lot going. FaZe Clan not getting a whole lot going. This might be the first time that we do not see FaZe Clan actually qualify on their first attempt, right? So they have to pull this back in the last 2 games. I don't think they're even all that close right now.
Oh, I'll have to wait and see.
That close is... I'm taking that back. They are close, but they're definitely not in right now.
I don't think so either. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe actually. Could imagine that just happened. Here we can see it, right? That's the wall I was talking about. Just one nade actually would have taken at least one of the players 100%. I mean, just a tiny second longer behind the smoke as well would have maybe secured them another chance of the game as well, because they were just about to be pushed out as well from the compound. But be that as it may, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic game. It's been a very top-sided couple of games now as well, but we do have 2 more coming up, and we will take a look at these 2, obviously with the map order that we've had throughout the last couple of weeks. Same map order yet again after a very short pause. So ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Quick pause and we'll be right back.
More steps toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. Destructible terrain on Tago. And a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here. So pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Halfway through the night. Way more than halfway through the tournament. 6 out of 8 games completed. The top dogs eating good, like we said. Teams like SlamG farming teams on the cutoff as well. I think we saw them put the stop to not only Storm on request, but another few teams on that eastern side. Makes that leaderboard spicy towards the cutoff and hopeless if you want to win and you're on the lower side of the scoreboard. So teams are going to be fighting for that top 8 now, Felix. FaZe currently just barely holding the line, 33 points. Bushido on 32, Storm on request 28, Freeside 24. There's a lot of things that can still happen on the scoreboard.
Yeah. Main story for me is Freeside and Formulation Gaming still being that far down. Especially, I don't want to say with the chances they've been given. Right? I think Freeside had a couple of good chances, a couple of good positions, and then they kind of lost it in one or two very integral fights in like phase 4, phase 5. Kind of similar fashion yesterday. I hope that's going to change. I hope they can solidify themselves as a team that's to be feared in an isolated fight. Right now, that isn't really the case, and that's unusual for such an experienced roster. But it has to be said as well. They're always meeting very strong opposition in some oppositions in some of these rounds. So there's something to be said about that as well. Just a tiny bit unlucky in who they're meeting.
Yeah, it is rough. It is the problem with these lobbies when it's so top heavy, right? And the top teams, you meet them a little bit too much, and you don't really get to fight the teams that you might get a jump on. Makes the game a whole lot harder. But as we said, plenty of chances still. 2 more games coming up. We have a Rondo coming your way, and then an Erangel to close things out. We still have a pretty close fight towards the top as well. Don't forget, there's prize money here. There's $1,000 on the line that are split up between the top 8 teams. Okay, dude. Did you not get enough attention?
Dude, I just got a lot of PUBG merch.
Okay.
I can't help it, I just won a bunch of tournaments, and they just, they got me that stuff, like chair, sunglasses. I got a bunch. Yeah. Anyways, it's not over yet, is it?
I refuse to speak to this man.
Do you not have that much merch at home? Like, where's your merch?
I do. Cool. It's just like on the background, There's like a little chicken on my radiator there and stuff like that. But
okay. I see it.
I have those sunglasses as well, but you can't see anything through them, so I don't really know where they are. They're on the shelf for me somewhere,
Yeah, they're not that great in terms of visibility, but I mean that's not entirely the point when you wear sunglasses like this. But yeah. Man, I gotta go through my stuff again. I saw that I have so many amazing PUBG t-shirts, dating all the way back to Gamescom even, or to like the Mercedes-Benz arena. In case any of you guys even remember that in the chat, it's been like 7-8 years.
Back in my
I just
day.
completely took over the conversation now, but yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, keep on. This is not a player cup. This is a Felix and Corvo podcast. So. Go on.
No, but look, that's history.
Come on, Grandpa, tell us another story. We'll listen.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into the third game.
It's history, kids.
Yes. You know what's crazy? So many of these players that we sold 8 years ago are still in this lobby. Talking about FUT Esports, talking about FaZe Clan, and there's something you very rarely see, that type of survivability in the esports space, in any kind of professional, in kind of any kind of professional setting, be that esports or actual sports. That's a tough thing to do,
Ascend.
So give it up.
Chris and Brex.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely names you want to bring up there in that conversation as well, for sure. And then Fuzzface. Fuzzface on the other side of things as well, right? Formulation Gaming. Maybe the glory days from his FaZe Clan days are a little bit over, but he's still kicking. He's still around. Still showing some of the young kids what's
retirement. But well-deserved retirement. He's been part of a historic run of tournaments. I still remember that comeback. Man, I got to go back to this tournament after we finish these games today. Like that historic comeback with like an 18-kill win.
Yeah.
To bring them back into contention, and then I think they won that tournament off the back of that as well, right?
I think they got second in the grand finals. Yeah.
Insane, just insane stuff. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, just type in FaZe Clan crazy win into YouTube. You'll see it.
Yeah. I think that's might be 2021, I think. Probably the year that was. Not quite sure. All the years are a blur. You know. Okay, you want to feel old? Fuzz has a kid now. Do you know that?
Is that public knowledge?
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy. Or did you just leak something?
No.
No, okay.
I would never.
Didn't know. I actually didn't know. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Life is going on, you know? Life ain't
I mean,
stopping.
how cool is that for a dad, though? Like, as soon as he grows up and he's going to be into video games, like, what did you do for a living, Dad? You know?
Yeah.
You know, I was playing for FaZe Clan. Like, you probably don't know about them, but, like, we play international tournaments. Like, just going to open up YouTube. You can see FaZe in amazing games. And, yeah.
I mean, imagine if FaZe Clan is still like a big name in 10 years or in 15.
It probably is, right?
Yeah, and then you can tell your kid, yeah, I was on their PUBG roster. I was like the face of their PUBG roster. That's pretty fire.
It is. Just having a VOD of your dad, like, on playing international tournaments on YouTube, just, you know, at the palm of your hands, like, seeing him in there.
Well, like,
and also,
playing,
I mean,
like playing Nations Cup for his country.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's got to be the biggest honor, actually, for plenty of these. We have plenty of Nation Cup players in here as well. I just saw a couple of... It's just been announced, by the way, and I saw a couple of French gentlemen as well, even though they're not participating today, training for Nations Cup as well. On their Twitch streams just the other day. But yeah, and then obviously the complete opposite of things, right? Boostic, players like that, young emerging players, even though the game is so many years old, way before they were allowed to play this game, they've gotten in at a rather late time, but still make it work, right? Up and coming names that will at one point be at the top of the scene. If they should, I'm not saying they should, but would have already, in a different universe, would have already been there, if not for some complications, right? We've all heard the stories. But yeah, that's the other side of things, right? New and up-and-coming players contesting all these spots.
For sure. Can't believe I just...
Scene never sleeps.
Can't believe I just desperately tried to make that conversation about me playing Nations Cup, and it didn't even work, but it's all
you
good.
You did, though. I didn't even realize. You did. Oh, my Lord, you did.
Moving
and you hit one of the nastiest
I'm just
clips.
dropping hints out here,
No,
you know?
no, you did. And I casted you. How crazy is that, actually? I casted you playing Nations Cup, and now we're casting together. Yeah. That's hilarious as well.
Life is good, man.
And I casted you. I remember that Panzerfaust and Vikendi.
I have that clip saved somewhere. I have a folder on my PC called Happy Place, and that Panzerfaust clip is in there.
Doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, we have a game, though. We have a rondo. And the players have done us the favor of being absolutely chill, relaxed, quiet.
Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Peaceful. Let us yap a bit, get it out of our system, and then we can move on.
Get it out of the system before Mark's back.
Oh, God. It's time to Tago! Get out of your condo, we're going to Rondo!
Man, I love Mark. You can't take the guy, right? You can't take the guy. He's already in the chat watching from his vacation in Greece. Yeah. This guy cannot get enough of PUBG Esports.
What an addict.
That's why, obviously, he's supposed to be here, not me. That's just yeah, he's an addict. In a good way, though. Entirely in a good way.
Absolutely, yeah. We love Mark.
I don't know his G-point spendings, but he's responsible.
Oh, yeah. The only thing non-responsible is how much work he puts into PUBG. That's the man's just...
That's very unresponsible, yeah.
Yeah, the man's a grinder.
Makes us look bad all the time.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. Stop being like that, Mark. You can't be making us look bad. Actually,
if he would be a bad guy behind the scenes at least, but he isn't. You know, he's the nicest guy ever.
Yeah,
that's the real problem, right?
Yeah. You get that guy drunk at Gamescom and he's still a nice guy. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Not supposed to happen, right?
Uh-oh. Game starting.
Ooh, okay. We're getting into things. It's Tung Suhur. No, you're not on Instagram. You are indeed at, not PGS level tournament, but indeed at a rather important qualification, at least for Tung Suhur, trying to make their way into the Super Cup finals. Akim takes down Boosting. We just talked about him. This is just a, perfect example of this. 1 in 64 was the chance that we talk about. Exactly the one that I was highlighting. The young players, the young emerging ones, but in case you've missed last game, or in case you haven't missed last game, then be that as may, doesn't matter, because you've seen him play there, and he's just nuts. Watching his POE, watching his highlights, definitely one in a million type of player.
For sure. Easy to forget as well when you watch these lobbies, right? And you see somebody get absolutely dominated. Easy to think, wow, that guy... It's really not up to scratch, man. But everybody in this lobby is so far above the average level, is so far above the average level in ranked. so far above the average level, even in esports. It's you're just watching the best of the best. Yes, there's some teams that are playing in Shanghai right now. Sure, there's a few talents that aren't here right now, but some of these guys are definitely good enough to mess with the best. World champion teams. EWC, 3rd place, right? FaZe Clan, last year, literally 3rd in the world at the Esports World Cup. It's easy to look bad in a lobby like this.
Yeah. It's going to happen this year again, by the way. I think the dates have already been announced. I think it's like mid or end August, if I'm not mistaken. It's 17th or something. Yeah, so be prepared for some more EWC action this year as well. It's just, I mean, it's crazy. I said this at the start of the stream here today, right? This is, I don't remember a time where we've had like 12 hours of PUBG esports action on the main channel.
Yeah.
Just about ever. So, right, it's PGS8 today. We're going to have EMEA Super Cup qualifications, or like the Players Tour. And then we have the NA side of things right after that, in the middle of the night, at least on my time zone as well. Probably not for you guys out there. But yes, crazy. Just crazy. I mean, you, as we said as well, right, for someone who wants to stay up to date, this is a perfect time to get into things. You'll see so many different players, so many content, so much content to learn from as well, which is kind of like the main takeaway as well if you're trying to make it, right? And we do have a lot of up-and-coming professional or up-and-coming trying to be professional esports players out there in the chat as well.
Yeah. And if you're trying to learn, get yourself on the map stream as well. Get yourself !map in chat. Get yourself involved. See how these teams are rotating, how they're setting themselves up for this phase 1, how they're setting themselves up for phase 2. Different approaches, different ways you can get yourself into circle. Different splits you can take, different groups you can make. So much you can take away. And FaZe Clan right now, for example, they're taking their time with the rotate, but why are they doing that? They want to time their EP, or they want to time their EP onto circle pop, so they're waiting longer than they could have, and then they're gonna try and catch up a little bit with the plane and be somewhere close to the center of the circle when it pops. So they'll fly in now, they'll catch up with the blue, and then they'll try and figure out what they want to take just as phase 2 pops. While everybody else is moving on the ground, moving on foot or in vehicles, they're going to be flying across the sky and basically going to be the first ones, or some of the first ones, to pick high center, high priority spots. So definitely a valid tool, especially when you're so late. Super, super valid tool for them to get themselves in a good spot here.
Yeah. I mean, FaZe Clan loves to do this on this map as well. It's not the first time we've seen this. It's not going to be the last time. It's a very valid option. And phase 2 seems to be their favorite phase of doing it as well. And in a circle like this, very tough to rotate from, let's say, west to east, from east to west. It's a lot of teams grouped up towards the center, very few rotation paths. And you pick up, when you know rotation paths are not going to be great in a circle like this, are really, really valid. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. They are perfect on circle pop. Will be one of the best rotating teams, apart from teams that are already in the center right now. But in terms of the teams that do have to rotate in, they're one of the best ones in terms of prior right now. So many spots to choose from right now.
Going east as well, trying to instantly commit to something. Realizing, okay, foot is actually pretty reinforced in that compound. We can't actually hold up that compound. But they will take themselves the containers, which is in a very, very good spot circle-wise. Especially because we're looking at land ratio going a little bit east later on. But they are in dangerous territory because Bushido has seen them, and Bushido knows, okay, there's 4 guys in these containers. This is a chance for us to get something going. If Bushido has any blue zones, that could be an absolute massive threat. No names right now getting involved here with SlamG. Dante, absolute climbing lessons from him. Gets himself on the roof. Nabat's on fire, though. Is he burning in that car? 10 HP is enough for him. Nate will go past. He'll get the first aid off, and he might have something to say about this push from SlamG.
Try to make it outside with a vehicle. I think it was stuck there. Someone has to kind of commit now. Lurix tries to spot him outside. Doesn't get the angle just right, though. You know what? Can't really recover either. He's going to be stuck behind the truck now. Smoke right below his feet. Knows where one of the players is, though. Saw him run from left to right, but there's a nade towards him. That actually does a lot of damage. I thought it was thrown a little bit too far, but it's perfectly fine. Takes him down to 40 HP. Won't make it inside, though. I don't think there's any angles from the outside, excuse me. They can really harm him just yet. Dante drops down from the roof too. That's a potential rest. If they do get that, they even have the man advantage here in the closed building too. But by the looks of it, they don't want to cross the street just now. It's actually It actually continues to be a rather slow fight. I'm really surprised at what No Name's doing right now. This is not really what we've been used to from No Name from day one, right? Closing out these fights fast, being aggressive, trading out teams that are close to you, and they will actually run away from this 4v2.
Just trying to cut their losses, getting the res back up, stabilizing. And in the end, might end up leaving 2 points on the table, but I guess they value staying alive just a little bit more. And they are very, very central right now, right? Any knocks towards them could trigger another team to recrash, could trigger a third party from somebody else. So they are staying alive for now. They are staying safe. Same can't be said for Formulation Gaming, making the breach on the south, instantly being caught by Belief, who are trying to hold that edge for themselves. Second nade could do the damage. It's looking good. That's just a tiny bit too far. Intent stays alive for now. 3-man up. But as Fuzzface gets knocked, I think that is corrected to just 2.
Nate, being popped over. Actually, good idea. Doesn't take him down, though. Ensley, and meanwhile, shows us how it's done. Marcelik hits the ground. Great stuff coming out from Ansley once more. And there's another third party coming in now. So much. Again, even this map, it's phase 2. We've seen almost 5, 6, almost half of the lobby fight already at one point. Conf now taking on Kydel. Long distance shots, Mini 14. Will get the better end of the stick, though. You can see how hectic it is for Believe now. Not really sure where to cover. Do they even have anyone close to the wall anymore? Yes, they do, but I'm not sure they know that. Or have they repositioned as well? Is Formulation Gaming even only a single now? Or is it still 2-man on the other side? There's a lot of information now to process. And not an easy situation to be in, especially in terms of making it out in case the zone shifts away.
A rough spot to be in for sure. More teams coming on in as well. Gonna make that even harder. Few teams dropping around the sides, not trying to get involved. Foot. Don't want to say gets involved, but it's looking like they want to. With Slam D here, who made it out of that Hongshang mess, but they get greeted quite instantly from an entry knock from Foot. And they're looking to chase that one up as well. Want to spread out, want to get aggressive, want to take control of these compounds on the eastern side. Free side comes in, instantly blasted. Formulation Gaming meets their end. That eastern side is heating up a little bit. Ascend also going by in very close vicinity.
Good shots. Doesn't take anyone down just yet. Good shots back to the butt, actually. Just needs one more shot. One more shot doesn't happen, but they drive straight into Foot Esports.
Oh, no.
At the tree. 1, 2, 3. And everyone's out. Foot Esports being gifted a couple more frags. They don't really need it too much, but I'm going to say no to it. Likewise for Ascent, probably. Brexco taking down players from VS. And it continues to be the theme here right now. So many teams fighting early. It's phase 3, still only 12 teams alive, 43. I think even just last game, right? It was something crazy, like 37 players in phase 3. It's just a lot of early fights. I mean, in this circle, I can understand a little bit more than the last game, but be that as it may, teams are understanding the meta a bit more now. Even though a lot of these fights are not as clean as it gets. You can see even OK AK has lost a play already. And, well, last game was disastrous for AT too, so it's going to be important for both of these teams now to win this one.
Bombers in hand, flashbang comes out. The player fully blind, gets himself the first, but the trade's almost there, 1 HP. 3 Vest saves the day. Might be able to get himself another first aid off, but a retreat. They should really close this out. They should really force the issue here, not wait around any longer. They do know the next zone's going to shift away. They're sitting on the land ratio itself. They need to close this as fast as they can, or at least go for the res, but taking a while here to do it. There's that shift coming on in. Land ratio goes away from them. They were sitting on that water side. They were sitting in an area that was never going to get the circle, and they haven't been able to close out that shift, right? They haven't been able to close out that fight and make their move, so that's going to come back to bite them. Even if they do win this fight, so much time being wasted here, Felix.
Yeah. A perfect outcome. Doesn't really matter what happens from this point onwards. Quintix. I thought for a moment they were actually going to run away from the compound, but they No, they just try to get a different angle. Quentin's got a good spot, though, and he's got the FAMAS as well. Takes one! Almost the second one. I thought that was going to work out fine for him, but I think there's shots from the distance, too. So even if it would have taken him down, I think the trade would have happened at one point. 18 now getting one, getting two, though. Heroes can be the one to flush these players out of the game, and they now need to get a move on as well. You can see it, phase 4 now starts any second, and there's a long road ahead of them. Actually, probably the longest road out of any of the teams still left standing. 40 players alive, at least a bit more than it was last game. I see some crazy vehicles blown out, defying all physics. But yeah, as we said, there's barely any spots now. I think one of the few spots that we saw was still open has just been taken by Tung Sohor. And as a result, I'm going to be interested to see where they will make that rotation happen. Even towards the southern side, there's so many teams still standing. I'm really, really worried now for any team rotating into the western side.
Should be stacked. Wide open terrain as well. That's why we saw so many people going east early. Everybody knew, okay, there's water on the west. East is where the circle wants to go. That's why we see a FaZe clan, for example, right? Shifting right into those containers. They know they are relatively favored by the circle. That's why you see a FaZe clan, or an Ascend, excuse me, making their way on in on the east here. Which is the more likely spot to be favored. They haven't made a clean entry, though. They have not made it in with 4. Brex gotten himself 1 already. Losing Paints and Chris. Not a good time for Ascend.
Kiryakai. Roaming around that ridgeline still. In the meanwhile, Bushido awakening from that slumber that they've had. We'll grab another frag. They have a pretty good position as well, actually. One that's going to be dangerous for Ascend any second now. Because as soon as they spread out across that ridgeline, I think they will have angles from some of the Ascend players standing close to the compound of KIF. You can see right here, Brex has to be careful. Shido is indeed in the distance. Even Kilyaka has to be careful. Both, I think, might be open if they do indeed reposition. FaZe clan gets a good shift. It's a beautiful end show, and I'm not going to lie, this is a beautiful territory to fight in. But for every team right now in Hongshan, man, does it get interesting. Man, does it get interesting, especially for No Name. We've seen them be there since, I think, 3 or 4 zones back even. I think it was in phase 2 where they already fought Believe. Believe now, instead of taking that warehouse and continuing to fight for it, they have repositioned towards the most outside eastern buildings, which is not a bad spot to be in. But I'm not sure it's going to help them much. Not against No Name. They have that access towards the second one that they've given up, and I think that's a bit closer to the zone.
A lot of space there. Not a lot of teams that will make it out. See Navat on the roof looking to try and find some cheeky angles, but he's already been spotted undoubtedly. So Kiliakai on the send. No pun intended. We'll make it through for now. Probably turns the motor off here, tries to find anything. He does have 3 gear, he does have a P90, but he is spotted. And Bushido say, thank you very much. We haven't really been able to shoot our guns at all until you've come around. Ascend go out early in round number 3, and a lot of teams are soon to follow. Hongshan is completely eliminated. There's 4 teams here, 4.5 if you want to count Fairy Tail in, that all have to move past or move in some way, and it ain't looking good.
Even AT has to be careful now with the nades raining in already, even before everyone's arrived. Akim will take one. Akim with 2 more. Oh, what a perfect name. That's a Kobe right there. And Akim actually does get one of the players as well with the vehicle explosion. Just 1 player missing now. They will need the same spot yet again, or rather Molotov. But he's still standing. Hero, the one that did get 2 flushes for that team just a tad bit earlier. Couple phases back. Will be the last one standing. They won't chase him just yet. They know how important it is to have all 4 players alive now. They will let the zone do that magic a little bit more, but maybe by the end of it, he won't even be left standing. You can see now that No Name is making it in. They might have got a good angle and pretty good idea on where that last player from AT is playing as well.
Alright, make it in. You saw the util there coming in from foot as well, right? Making that so much harder. But Tung Sahur. The third party from range does close out. I'll get it 3. Right side still playing around that edge. Around the ridge. Up and down. Trying to use the camera, trying to pop off a few shots. Wants to make sure that he does get that flush. Doesn't want to overcommit himself as well. We see another zone that eliminates almost every single player. Almost no one is inside of this one. It's really just FaZe Clan and Bushido who sit pretty. Everybody else, the next brawl is right around the corner.
Really long distance as well. It's not easy to hit these shots. Now, that's a good opportunity though. Comp hits at least 1 bullet. Makes it a bit harder for No Name. Now Nabat has been taken down once and for all too. That's going to be good news for everyone. Even these teams aren't for the southern side. Sooner or later, they will have to fight them otherwise. And No Name, we've seen it just last game, how much they can do with a great shot, great trade. This is exactly how we clear a building. As a 2-man, just dominating that upstairs area. Right side, as a result, does get taken out. And it's not the end of things, though. They are still alive. Nate's now raining in Zabilla, so be careful. I think he's standing right on the other side of it. Comp takes him down. Good Nate. Well cooked. And there's a second one to follow it up. Little does he know, though, he barely made it inside that next room over. But as I said before, it's not over yet. Alright, there's still Razor living. Fair chance to clean them sometime soon. Good news is, though, if you take a look at the map, no one really there to third party, so they do have a little bit more time.
They have time, but once that circle comes around, Bushido will be standing in wait, right? So, yeah, you're winning that fight, and ooh, that's a good nade to end it. That's a swift end to that whole shebang. But now you gotta send, and now Bushido is just sitting there, ready and waiting for you. Western side is tearing each other apart as expected. But has been quite quiet on that. Actually getting themselves out. Aman roams over. Akim, not happy with how many frags Akim is getting and how little Aman is getting himself. So decides to take out his own teammate there. Decides to make things a little bit harder. Gustav chimes in with a double nade as well. And just like that, Tung Sahur, they look like they're in trouble.
Yeah. As we said before, right, there isn't really this direct path in, and now, even though No Name, I thought with No Name gone, they might have a better chance at this, but if I look at the positions really ahead of them and the way their circle shifted, it's really tough to find any kind of footing. FaZe has got the center locked down. If you try to make their way, try to even rotate that way, they're not even going to peek you, but they're also going to be peeked by Foot. Esports who make you past the ridge down, and then obviously there's Bushido on the other side. Everyone's got angles on you. The way the circle shifted, not really much that can be done, but it's been a good way. It's been a good path. It's been a lot of work as well for Tung Sahur to stay alive up until this point. And even though the rotation path wasn't too far, they've gotten a couple frags as well. That's FaZe Clan getting maybe even second to the last player from Tung Sahur. Now they should be finished any second. But what's more important here is actually that fight from Fairy Tail against Bushido. Isolated as well. Metabrace tries to be sneaky, tries to find a way, but he says really going into the blue zone might be a little bit too much, a little bit too risky. And he falls back. After all, they do have an entry into the zone that's a little bit better than Fairy Tail, I think.
Have to give Fairy Tail credit here for not running into the trap, right? For taking it slow enough, trying to group up, use the power in numbers to actually stay alive here, not get picked apart by Bushido. Stay alive long enough to see another zone as well. See a zone that sees Bushido eliminated out of it as well. So they have survived long enough for their biggest threats to have problems of their own. And that's always good, right? That's always good. That allows you to play a little bit more freely, a little bit more liberated. And when headshots come in like that, it's gonna force Bushido to heal, gonna force them to reposition. That might keep Fairy Tail in this. And if Bushido isn't careful, and they put themselves in just slightly the wrong spots, then Fairy Tail might be able to punish. But they are going now. They have sent it down. And it's just Conf left on the high ground, who's absolutely terrorizing with the mini.
It's a good angle, actually. Fairy Tail just barely inside, though. can see. Not a perfect spot to be in, and the compound still is really, really strong, and there goes the fight now. As we said, Bushido has an entry, but I didn't think it was going to be that contested. Foot Esports doesn't want to let them pass, and they shall not pass. That's at least Foot Esports' idea of things. 8C sees the player rotating on down. One player has been dropped. There goes 8C. Now finally Metabay has been dropped. But it's not without casualties. Not without casualties. Vard is down on the ground, and there's still a player left standing. They want to bring Vard back, as you can see, making sure he's going to be able to rotate back. Now the third party comes in as well. Call Me Bombi takes down one, takes down two. That's unfortunate for Foot Esports. They might even get the frags off the back of this. But at the very least, they brought back Vard, and that might be worth more than just the 2 points.
2 points on the placement. They'll get that placement anyways. Bombi says hello. QBU, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. Probably not going to make it into the zone. He's got to try his very best. Use the one smoke he has from the smoke launcher to survive a little bit longer. There's a Lynx on one side with a 4-man phase. And then there's a 3-man Foot on the other. His time is very limited. But if we're looking at Foot Esports, HC, he has a very nice Orc skin, but he doesn't have a vest. T-Bone doesn't have a helmet. And they don't have a spot in the zone right now. Vard doesn't even have a vest either. So they are battered and bruised. And they might have to go towards Bombi Lovo here. They might have to go towards Bombi, because going straight into face clan would just be suicide.
Couple more pop shots coming out from Bombi. But he knows it's going to be hella unlikely for him to get that second place. So I think with the Foot Esports is already being positioned with the way they've sent 2 players forward, and with the way once got the back of it, was just now rotating off. He doesn't really have a lot of room he can go for, and I don't think that fight is going to happen before he needs to actually move inside. You can see he's thinking about what his options are right now. As we said, not too many. I think denying is potentially an option, but he knows that FaZe and Foot Esports doesn't really matter how much points they get. Well, for FaZe it does. If FaZe already that deep into the round, he might as well try, right? So I think at this point, he's just waiting for this fight to kick off, but well, little does he know, no one's really making a move. FaZe Clan plays this one smart, collected, calm, as usual, right? As FaZe Clan does. And even though they don't have access to that circle center, Foot Esports has indeed. They do have the man advantage, and that might be worth more.
I think that's worth everything at this point. James, with the Lynx, let's rip. Has to be a little careful. Vard is on an angle that could peek him. But Vard's also in a position to wait here. In a position to wait things out. Gustav gets a little overzealous, gets himself spotted, fixes 1 HP as well. Bombi's an absolute problem here. If he would have just connected one more bullet, that would have done the trick. But if he does now, Vex is getting so aggro. He's not ready for the third person peek around the corner. And just like that, numbers advantage is no more. FaZe is down to 2. And Foot wants to just take matters into their own hands here, Felix. They're going at it.
Yeah, they really are. This has maybe just ruined FaZe Clan's game. Oh, look at this. Vardy's just driving straight into the smoke. He exits it, actually. And on the other side, Jeemstorm brings things back, and it's just chaos everywhere. But I think FaZe Clan has done it. I'm not even sure who won this game. FaZe Clan indeed has turned it around. Oh, what a massive, massive turnaround indeed. I thought Foot Esports was going to have it, but, well, somehow the trades really just... must have hit perfectly, actually. Somehow. I might have been James that's the last man standing. I'm not even sure at this point. But I think he was indeed. And, well, he wins the infights by the looks of it.
I mean, that was James at the end, but that was the right play from Foot, but a little over the top, maybe, to just drive into the middle of the smoke. But when we're looking at what they had to work with here, right, I think they had 1 vest and 2 helmets across the 3 of them. I guess that's why they're a little bit desperate to get inside there, right? The car into the smoke. If it works, sure. But in the end, a little bit too chaotic. I thought they had something there. I thought they had a chance to close that out. But they decided to go full ham, and, well, can't blame them. Would have been really interesting to hear their comms there. Not sure what the plan was. Not sure what the play was. But you gotta give it to Bombi, honestly. The man is an absolute beast in that late game, and almost costs FaZe the chicken dinner.
Yeah, look. Oh, that was so close as well. I thought he was going to try to drive through it and then maybe drive scout, you know, grab or kind of distract the rest of the FaZe Clan players and make them turn around, which is a better strategy as well, right? It's very often you see a smoke like this, you drive through someone. If someone turns around and wants to shoot you out of the car, he has to essentially do a 180, right? And at that point, he can't really turn around. And at least takes him some time to reposition his crosshair towards the other side, which it was a very well play in this one. But he exits inside the smoke, and unfortunately that doesn't work either. Barely misses the player inside. Ladies and gentlemen, that was it though. What the hell? What a game! What a game 3! I'm still kind of in shock with what we saw, and especially coming out from both of these teams, both partner teams for Esports and FaZe Clan, never seems to disappoint in the end.
No, your favorite word and Mark's favorite word is explosive. That game was explosive, and explosive enough to absolutely send us off into a short break before we come back with the last game of the night, game number 4. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few minutes.
More steps toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. Destructible terrain on Tago. And a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here, so pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players' Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
And we are back. Straight into the game, straight into the pool, flying through the pool. We're not looting the first aid. We're looking for the plane. Are we going to find the plane? Yes. Observer gets a nice little stamp on their participation sheet for today. All 4 planes caught. Good job, Mr. Observer, man.
Amazing job. Someone's hyped, huh? Someone's hyped for this very last game of the series. But you'll see and find out who's going to be able to qualify for the Super Cup final in just about 2 weeks already. And you've seen it again in the pause just there. In case you're still wondering how does this work, next week it's going to be 4 more days of scrims. Top teams will make it towards the qualification stage. The same one that we have this week, but obviously a resetted one, a new one in next week's weekend, and then the top 8 from that will form the top 16 teams that will qualify to the Super Cup final. Let's take a look at the leaderboard though. Amazing, thank you so much for showing it. Fairy Tale on 73 points right now, taking the 1 spot, no names behind that. Didn't have too much success in the last one. It's been kind of a tough road making out that compound out of that skirmish as well that we saw in phase 2. But still, 62 points for these Esports. But let's take a look at these teams that really struggled to make it into the top 8, right? Talking Bushido, talking Storm on Request, 31 points that we need to almost grab a win. And then after that, I mean, I'm not even sure if that's possible, right? Freeset 24, believe 22. These are maybe if they have a big win, the only teams that can really qualify, right, Kobo?
Yeah, it's crazy. We've never seen a tournament that had such a big gap. Such a big gap after 8th place. It's always been coming down to the wire, always been coming down to the last game. It's super uncharacteristic to see it so far apart. I think Bushido is the team we're looking for. It's Bushido versus Slam G and Tung 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 Sahur, right? Those are the things we're looking at. And then Storm on Request, already, they just need a win. They need to win the game. If they don't win the game, they're essentially out. So the gap is larger than it usually is, and that is partly due to the top team's performance so well. And it's partly due to some of the bottom teams just not having a good day too. I just had a look at Formulation Gaming there. They started the day on 16, and after 3 games, they're on 18. That's disastrous from them and not a fun experience to be having. Even if you have nice skins, even if you unlocked Hannah, as Fuzzface has, and you have a nice little bee, nice little busy bee on your backpack, 2 points, 3 games, that ain't fun.
Really not. But yeah, I mean, you asked the question, right? Rather, it was a fact more so than we've never really seen a tournament that would be this top heavy, or qualification process be this top heavy. Essentially, only one team after 7 games, only one team that could realistically still make it in and kick out one of the top 8 teams. Completely absurd, completely crazy, and goes to show you as well that it wasn't a coincidence that we saw so many teams today be so aggressive in the first 3 phases. Because so many teams needed to catch up, and they did take more risks, way more risks. And at the same time, the top teams that kind of took those risks as well because they didn't need to anymore. They didn't need to qualify. They didn't need to get any more points. Won a lot of these risks that other teams were taking. So it's kind of like a two-way street, right? Top teams performing, and the bottom teams tried to make it big, and unfortunately fell short plenty of times. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look if it is still possible. Slam G here, in the midst of things, being one of the teams that we still have to watch. And, kind of a horrible scenario now that we're seeing driving across the bridge. Sorry, I'm crazy is right there. Artix tries to turn around, but I think I'll stop in his tracks. Oh, the Panzerfaust might just clean things up. 2 more players now arriving at the end of the street. But he makes it back inside the vehicle. He continues to drive there, but it's because Lurix actually takes him down. But there's more support now. 2 more players from Freeside pulling up to the ridgeline just outside the city. Oh, Meva almost takes him down as well. But the trade hasn't happened, not just yet. And as a result, he's going to be... Oh, double drive bite by Slam G. Oh, the coordination is absolutely on point. Absolutely perfect. And out of the 2 more, Gore is actually able to take him down. Cantix now trying to bring things back. Panzerfaust denies him the vision, but he's still standing, still kicking, down to 22 HP now.
That's a crazy Panzerfaust. Hits the ground right in front of Artix. Almost takes him down to the process as well, but the nade's there from Ogore. That should make things tricky. Cantix falls to one of the teams that was catching up, right? That is Storm on Request. that wants to get something going from that southern side. But SlamG, yes, they get bridge camped, but it doesn't matter at all. Outclassing Freeside here, sending Freeside packing. They will have to try again next week. They're a team that consistently makes it through the qualifiers. So I don't doubt that we'll see them again next week. That probably was all of what we've seen from them this week, and not the way they wanted to go out.
Definitely not. What a turnaround, though. What a great consolidation after that bridge camp. They weren't really ready for it. They were split apart by a lot. By a lot. Even that first player from SlamG was past the bridge like 10 seconds almost already from when Arctic's trying to cross. And then even the last two players, that took even longer for them to catch up. For them to still turn around and be that coordinated, isolating Mavada in the dip, that takes really strong coordination and communication especially as well. So, great stuff coming out from SlamG. One of the most important fights they've had in the series. And they do win it.
Terrible news if you're a Bushido fan. Bushido was the team trying to catch up in 9th place. Remember, just to catch you up on the scoreboard one last time, Bushido is trying to make that top 8. They are the most likely candidate breaking that top 8, and they were 6 points behind SlamG when this game started. And I do believe they were able to pick up at least 3 of the kills, maybe all 4, but I think at least 3 SlamG. So they have extended that gap quite considerably, and they have made it much harder for Bushido to fight their way on in. As dying with 0 points here for SlamG was the most likely scenario for Bushido to make it in, and the opposite of what Freeside had planned happened, and it's actually points in the bag for Mogora and the rest of the squad.
Kiryakai. Roaming around the open view compounds. Has spotted out Bombi with the help of its Chris. They were able to bully him away, though. That's something that isn't really seen. It's the smallest thing that isn't really seen by a lot of the viewers. That's how you keep your area clear without bringing yourself into danger. And Bombi on the other hand,
I have a question.
Does get into danger either way. Well, fire away.
If somebody's called Call Me Bombi, should we call him Bombi or should we call him Call Me Bombi? Something to think about.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. I should probably just call him Bombi.
I was saying Call Me Bombi until Gibson came around yesterday. I just said Bombi, and I was like, wow. That makes a little bit too much sense.
Yeah.
That is just...
Was I saying Call Me Bombi as well at the time? I was, right?
Yeah.
No, we're just not up to par with Gibson.
No, he's just better. He's just different. He's built
We're
different.
just not there. We're just not there. Good night back.
That's why
at
he
it.
gets paid the big bucks.
Oh yeah. And I'm just the sub. That's just how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Quintix barely escapes the nade. Explodes right in the front of his wall.
Was Ferrato gets run over by his teammate or by himself there? That ain't good.
Yeah, maybe. I'm kind of debating whether or not that breach was a good one in the first place. That's a great nade though. Explodes perfectly on top of the building. That's even another one. They know they only knocked one, so the second one came really close as well. If you wouldn't have changed position towards the right-hand side, you would have gotten taken down by that second nade too. But they will regroup here, and even just pushing them, especially the way that Storm on request are getting these knocks in right now is almost impossible. So I think they will stay alive as for a tiny bit longer on both sides actually. Not really a great position phase one though. This is why I'm so confused why AK maybe they were forced into it, maybe they didn't realize that a team was actually in there. This is why I'm confused why they breached it, right? In phase one there should in theory be better options than breaching this, but I haven't had the entire information why this happened.
It's also an opening. It's almost the best thing that could happen. To Storm on request, a breach, a questionable one. They get to defend, right? We've said this time and time again, defending is a little bit easier in third person than it is in first. That could be the points that they wanted, so that could be the points that they needed, because remember, they need a massive point injection. They need to close a gap that's absolutely substantial at this point. There's the first one for Kadel, knocks him down instantly. Doesn't say the same about his teammate, though. Kadel has won. Nosferatu gets a second, but the team falls apart in milliseconds here. And Storm on request, they're looking worse for wear. They're looking to just claw back whatever they can right now.
A pretty good angle. Good headshot as well. Now Zuno gets smoked. He might have to make a move here. While the rest of his teammates have all but fallen. Unfortunate Nosferatu now. Last player standing. Tries to be sneaky. Tries to reposition. We haven't really seen these guys come close to the qualification a lot of times, but it's great seeing them here. This is one of the success stories of teams, you know, coming into the open qualifier, trying to leave a mark on this scene, and they've certainly done so. The names are now known to a couple more people, you know, you kind of work with that. You do that a couple of times, you get yourself a lot of experience, and get yourself, who knows, maybe even better opportunities moving forward. Nade now comes in as SlamG has breached the compound as well. These guys are hungry, these guys know that if they start off a game like they just have, they've got a lot more coming right in front of them. I think with these points, they might have solidified their position as well. It's going to be really tough to get them out of the top 8 as well. Magor just dead, hits even Conf as the next breach comes in. It's Food Esports now being in a world of trouble. If not in the tournament itself, then at least in round number 8.
They get themselves one as well, so it is equally traded. But it wasn't what they were hoping for. Now, Bart finds another one through the window. That's an absolute barrage of blue zones from Pixel Lake, though. We've seen him do wonders with that before. Knows as well that the side room is a possibility. He does respect it for a while. Now the nade is in, and that's Xrem down. Blue zones close out every single bit of that house, except for the corner that Jabila is still playing. Another nade to follow. Does a bit of damage. Keeps his sound away. And Foot has brought this down to a one-man, but they're running it down straight into the open arms of that one-man. Maybe fake info, maybe bad comms. They might close it out in the end, but they've lost 2 members in this. Not what Foot would have wanted.
Crazy stuff though for Esports. Wins this that dominantly, even though I think the original position wasn't even that great, but they still win the fight quite well. And that's to be set now for SlamG, but unfortunately can't. R6 goes down. Magor already knocked to the ground as well. But I think just 1 or maybe 2 points more, if it isn't already enough, is going to very safely secure that qualification too. And Nosferatu, on the other hand, he's made a bit of a name in round 8. Continues to defy all odds of dying. He stays alive, grabs 2 more frags as well, and could potentially make it a third too. Lurix will be spotted any second now. They should know his position, his whereabouts. Oh, we've seen crazier things happen. He's got Molotov, he's got a smoke as well. Ooh, he will be picked up hard from a dangerous angle. How did he even see him? I think it was just the left-hand window, right? I think he just wasn't that far around the corner, but these were some really fast shots, actually. I don't think there was a headshot in there. It's just 3 or 4 body hits. But yeah, fast like that, you run out of position, TVP, it's going to take you down. And SlamG now only have to search for 1 more player.
Only search for 1 more player, and they also know that they're almost locked themselves in, right? Remember, they were in 8th place. The 10th place team has now already been eliminated. They've pushed themselves a little bit further away from that 8th place team, and if they even get themselves into 7th, then they're already entirely safe. So, gotta beat out Tung Tung Sahur, and then gotta not get decimated by Bushido. That's pretty much what's on the card for SlamG. That being said, Bushido is just rotating around here, putting themselves into an amazing spot for this shift, as they come into a Rozhok area that's completely unoccupied. And if they are swift on their feet and they realize there's absolutely nothing in their way and there's no pressure coming back from anything, they can take good amounts of space, they can get themselves up the hill even. They can take so much information on this circle. So yes, SlamG has put up the points already, but Bushido ain't sleeping either.
Nope. They keep on fighting. They keep on training as well for TPP, you can tell. And this has been the case for every Super Week, first week qualification, that they are desperately waiting for that final And so far, it's worked out quite well. If not in the finals, then at least on most of these qualifications here. Next fight is coming up. Ascend, they've had really big success so far in the last 7 games. Especially today. As we said yesterday, it wasn't a perfect day for them, but it was enough for them to start off with a win today and then get themselves into this qualifying territory. And then they backed it up with another really great one. But obviously not quite in the shape where you would expect them to win a tournament consistently. That's not quite reached yet. But it's been an uphill battle as well. It's been an uphill battle. Every once in a while, Ascent has struggled a bit. Sometimes for longer, sometimes for a little bit of a shorter time period. But it feels like they're slowly but surely adapting to TPP.
Getting their act together. Performing to the level that we expect them to perform. Like solid qualification here is what matters, right? We still have a few teams who fight for first place. We have a Fairy Tail who's been dominating this round. We've also seen Ascent dominate some rounds, or at least get second place in them. There is a bit of variance in these short events. So I'm not blaming them as long as they get the top 8 locked in, and yes, they have. Foot has as well. Now getting away from the util of the No-Namers, another team that's been performing stellar in this weekend. Not No-Namers at all. Always good to see. And the name is less ego than the players could maybe get away with. They have performed massively, and they're looking to lock themselves into that Super Cup as well.
Good rotation here. I already like this. They spotted it out from the hillside. That this dip was going to be clear. FaZe Clan can also do the same thing, even though there's plenty of more dips just below. Obviously, or just to the west of school. Yeah, they can potentially shoot for. And I think that's what they're going for as well. Ooh, Slam G might have just actually beat them to the radio tower, but that wasn't originally the dip I was talking about. You can see Dreams in distance. That's the dip that I was expecting them to go to, but now with Slam G up there, and with how few teams are actually on the western side, I think they will have to make it a little bit further. And look what they just drove into. It's Formulation Gaming. They have to be careful as well now. Yes, FaZe is a 3-man, and they don't know. Not necessarily, but it's still FaZe Clan. But look, this is going to be tough. Yes, FaZe Clan isn't a good dip, but look, there's no one really to deny Formulation Gaming a peek off the back of this. And just like that, first player already goes down. Flush as well. This one isn't going to hit anything, but there's more nades now raining in. More knocks, obviously. And it's just down to one last player. It's all on the back of James. Excuse me, not James, actually. That is...
Vex.
Vex. Of course it's Vex. Space Marine, of course. Man, I do get confused with these nicknames, though. But yeah, it is James on the other side that's knocked. And he should get back up momentarily. But Formulation Game with that position, they're not going to lose this.
Oh, Bushido coming in hot. Coming into Bombi. It ain't going well. 3v1 right now. He doesn't have a ton of support. He's trying to fall away momentarily. 3Vest saves him a little bit. Celtic wants to push that down. Where's the rest of Fairy Tail? No one in sight. There's one player in the building. But Bombi's dancing. He's dodging and weaving. He's staying alive for now. They can consolidate on this, and yes, they will. Fairy Tail's not a team to run away from a fight. They could do some absolute damage here and just shut Bushido out of the top 8 after all.
Bombi. Get the name down now. Might be in a really good position, actually, to catch one of the Bushido players off guard. That's an unfortunate timing again. He's unfortunately having a lot of these unfortunate timings. He walks into the blue zone as well. Oh my word, at least he hit a couple of shots. Otherwise, he'd be at a even bigger disadvantage now. But he's kind of isolated now because of that push. He might have it. Yeah, he might have to take a 1v1 and unfortunately lose it. As Matsubi actually wins again. It's one of the best fraggers in this lobby. And even he gets caught off guard. Brightside pushes up the staircase, not fearing anyone. And it's just a whole mess for both of these teams now. No one can really solidify themselves as the clear victor, because even Bushido, now that they take out Fairy Tail, we'll lose 2 players in the process, and that's not a win for my book, at least not in the position they've been on the leaderboards. They don't need it necessarily, as we said, but they need to show us more consistency in these isolated fights. It's been the main differentiator between them having a really good week and a bad week. And up until this point, that's been kind of the chemistry that hasn't worked. But maybe that's the start of it.
At least a fight that goes their way, right? At least something along those lines. A team that was looking good on day 1 and just felt completely flat on day 2, Bushido. They were in basically every single end game on day 1. 16 placement points across 4 games. Not easy to achieve that kind of consistency. But today, they haven't shown up at all. Belief making their way across, maybe trying to breach that skull. The tires aren't looking good. Some of these cars spinning out. That Yoaz is out of control. And Tung Sahur is doing so much damage already. 2 knocked before they even arrive. Ansley 1 HP on the wall. I think he's the last one standing. Nope, 2 players on a combined 20 HP. Nade comes in from Yokari. And just like that, just Ansley left, trying to creep away, trying to get that first hit off, trying to do some damage back, but his days are numbered. Peaks come out. And Tung Sahur closes out Belief, locks themselves in, and I think we're going to be casting them in the finals of the Super Cup, Felix.
Kai. The Lone Wolf as well, he's been spotted out, is going to have a really, really tough road ahead of him. I'm not sure how he could potentially make that cross. The zone is as potentially as bad as it gets. Ooh, Pixelic. I think he just tried to bait, actually. I think he just tried to bait for his teammate. Unless he really heard that car that early. I'm not sure if you heard that car that early. Maybe that's why he ran, but either way, interesting play. Pixelic in the meanwhile has made it across. Kiyaka, I don't think he's seen this. Really, really smart on his part, and he will get a frag off the back of that as well. I like this. This is the kind of small stuff, the micromanaging kind of stuff that Pixelic does sometimes. And Kiyaka loses as a result. And look, they've got a lot more space now because of it. Isolating that solo, taking him down, means they can grab that ridge line as well. Potentially even get angles on Tung Sahur. And potentially even Bushido if they make it down sometime soon. Ooh, oh my words. This is a great spot for Bushido, actually.
The Lynx as well. It's the best gun in the game for that kind of distance. Literally does not get better. But he doesn't connect on the first 2 attempts. And now the pull-up is in full effect. Tung Sahur making their way up the hillside, looking for the fight. Celtic. Great reposition, though. Look at this ridge. This is amazing. Cover to be playing in TPP. The nades are coming out because their respect is there from Tung Sahur as well. They know that this is not a push they can make without util. Exelius is down to half HP or much less. The first hit comes on through. The blue zone is going to go far. It's very, very hard to nade over these ridges. But that push from Exelius, I think that's getting punished very soon here. He's not making it far. He's not staying alive in this. If Celtic spots him, if Celtic sees him past that bush, he's going to knock him down. There's the first one. Second push comes out. Akim with the trade. It's good enough. It's good enough when the enemy is a duo. You can trade it down to a solo.
Looks for an angle. Might spot out. Hammond now, first of many players that will have to come his way, and unfortunately that one was meant to be. Yokari takes him down. Metabe hits the floor, and so stays alive as 4. Pretty great job. I'm surprised they actually opted for that ridgeline first before they opted for Bushido's ridgeline. Only when they realized players were up there, they kind of repositioned. But it works out either way. Lucky for them that Bushido didn't hit any crazy shots, otherwise it could have definitely been disastrous for them. This way they stay alive in this, and I think they've already qualified for sure, so it doesn't really matter too much. They're on the brink of dropping down to the bottom 8, but with the amount of frags they've already gotten, not a worry anymore. But either way, at least it stays, these are the chances stay alive for them to make something out of this one. But with how well their gate kept from no-names, maybe that's just passed as well.
Don't get it twisted as well. With the way they're playing this and the way they're fragging out, they can get themselves into top 4 here. The leaderboard was stacked enough for them to actually pass a whole lot of teams on the leaderboard ahead of them. If they manage to overrun the no-names here, Dante and Rox, no easy feat, but Akim is doing a bit of damage, and he might keep them busy enough for the no-namers to not make it over that ridge come the next circle shift. They might get themselves into top 4. They might get themselves into prize money as well. So yes, the big job is done. The qualification is there. but getting into the prize money would be a nice little bonus for them as well, right? They're not a regional partner who's used to going to global events or playing in the finals of Europe Cups, EMEA championships. So for them, it's a nice chunk of change. Dante finds Akeem though. As Foot Esports is trying to make the approach out of the compound.
Yeah. Rox still staying active. He's been one of the most consistent fragger for this team as well. Foot now finally has to advance further, but I think a top 4 is perfectly fine for them, especially with the 6 frags, right? It's been a fun last game for them. That's all they really wanted. They didn't need any points anymore. And with all his teammates fallen, Pixelic now has got one more opportunity to make something big. Absolutely no nades. It would be completely absurd if he even gets one knock here with the great push from AT. That's denied too. And they will isolate Pixelic in a really, really great fashion. Good knocks here. These are really, really tough shots. Just 1 second too still there on the other side for AT. Will make that player fall down. 40 seconds, they'll have time for the rest, but the setup here not perfect for them anymore. They will need to cross a big, big distance. That circle shift being absolutely horrendous for AT.
Tough times. But not impossible. They have a ridge there, just south of Tung 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 Sour that they can pull up into. They can reset from and play the game from, especially considering that the high ground is out when the circle closes. So if they have a car that's working, they get in that car right now, they send it to that southern ridgeline. They've played the game long enough, they know well and truly what their options are. You can see it in front of them where that little rock comes out of the crevice. That is where they are meaning to go here 90% of the time. Yokari is going to see if he can pop some shots off, but he shouldn't even be exposed himself above that ridgeline, right? He's way too busy. He's way too pinned down by the no-names on the other side. Now Yokari in trouble. And so is Tung 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 Sahorwood, pinched in between 2 teams.
And a good recovery. Obviously thanks to the way of rotate. That's the first look now against Dante. One good nade could finish him off and potentially secure the win for AT, because the more they focus on that, the more shots in the back they get. And look at this, yeah. That's almost another knock. That could have been way worse right there for Tung 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 Suri, and I think it still might be. Look how his position, how bad that position really is if the nades are being thrown against him. Unfortunately, he couldn't really reposition anymore. And that ridgeline just a tiny bit too strong. But AT is really making something of themselves. I didn't think it was going to be possible. There's one more shot, and just like that, it's just one player left standing. They know that Dante was knocked a couple seconds before, but he's been resting them meanwhile. Rox and Dante now have to turn things around. It's a 2-on-3. AT is taking space. Utility is coming in as well. Dante almost being set aflame, but he makes it past it. And we are back to a 3-on-2. Maybe NN can do something miraculous here, but Rox is just trying to bait out a couple shots. Doesn't happen. Barrel in hand, doesn't even matter. Headshot comes through. Feziao is going to take down Rox, and now it's just Dante. He enters the vehicle, tries to reposition, but there's no chance. Backs against the wall. 3-on-1, and Angry Tree, is gonna win a round for the first time here in these qualification games, and that's one that we've been waiting for a long, long time. They haven't really shown this possibility of them winning a round, really, but it's even better to see that at the end of the stage now.
It's a good sign of life for them. It's a good sign that they can carry into the next week as well, because I don't think they've made it. I don't think they have broken into the top 8 with that game. Not with that game. Not with playing one big game. 3 placement points before the round started, right? They haven't had a good tournament so far, but they show up in the last game. And they take out some big names in the process here. They take out Foot Esports. They take out the no-namers. No problem at all. As it's a bit of a, it's a sign of life, and it gives you a little bit of more of trust. Okay, we can actually do this, right? We're not just going to get folded every single game. When we actually get things right, when things get going for us, we can do some pretty big things. But I saw one thing there again that I couldn't help but see, and maybe it's the logo. Tung 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 Sahur, again, are top damage in this lobby, right? Again, I mean, they don't win it. They might not have even got the most amount of points, but these guys have been farming today.
Yeah, 100%. These guys have just been dominating the lobby. There's been a few teams today, as we said, right? We saw how crazy stacked the top part of the leaderboard is. And that in turn means, right, how the top teams did have a round on their own, at least one round on their own where they really just popped off. That was the Sens round. where they already popped off, where they secured themselves a qualification. Sometimes that's all you need. Work yourself from the 11th place deep into qualification spots. And if you do that well enough, if you do that once at least, no one's really going to be able to take that away from you. Do a couple of points in the rest of the games, and it's going to be enough. And that's, once again, that's what Ascent did. FaZe Clan here just been consistent all around. Just the usual FaZe Clan stuff as well, right? Doing as much and salvaging as much, even from the rounds that they've been put into really tough spots in. So I'm excited to see these guys in the finals as well. It was close up until the last game, but I think these couple of points that we saw in the last 2 games should be enough as well for a solid qualification.
Should be good. Should be good. Uncharacteristic end to the tournament. Usually these are so stacked, and they have been stacked, but only at the top, it feels like, right? The gap is quite considerable, and it's gonna have widened even after this game. I don't think Bushido was even able to close the gap, so almost the first time that we've ever seen such a gap between the top 8 and the bottom 8. And when you watch these highlights of the late games, except for the last game, it was a lot of the top 4 teams, top 5 teams in all of those late games. And it was a lot of the same names popping off time and time again, right? Foot versus FaZe, Fairy Tail versus No Names, the Vorpal Swords getting in there, Ascent getting in there. Very, very top heavy here. And the top dogs really showing their experience, their skill. Showing us that they are getting used to this mode a little bit too much. And actually posing some really big issues for the teams at the bottom of the scoreboard here.
Yeah, especially the qualifier teams, right? That's kind of like the biggest takeaway for me. It's you will need that practice, essentially. You will need that practice. So the earlier you get into it, the earlier you play all these scrims, the easier it's going to get for you to consistently qualify. Maybe that stage from scrims to the Players Tour is not as big as the step from Players Tour to the finals. I think that's also one big takeaway. But also, that's why you have 2 chances, right? That's why you have 2 chances. Yeah. So next week, these top teams that we saw here, the usual faces. We're talking SlamG, we're talking Foot Esports, FaZe, Ascent. They're going to be there. That's the good news. They're not going to be there. The bad news is, who knows if the PGS teams are back? There's going to be a couple more contenders. But yeah, still, sign up and go for it.
100%. The second week is the week that's easier, and there's absolutely no shame qualifying from the second week. We had teams like Ascend qualify from a second week, just in the last circuit, and then it got second in the finals. They got second in the Super Cup. So no shame in needing to attempt. These tournaments are short, they're snappy. You sleep through 1 or 2 games, and suddenly you're really, really far on the back foot because you've missed a quarter of the tournament, right? These are crazy, crazy fast. So no shame in getting bottom 8 here. No shame in not dominating this lobby. Get yourself another chance. Get yourself into the scrims. They start tomorrow. So no time to waste. 4 days of scrims are coming at you. And then you can play next weekend.
Yeah. As we said before, right? Best chance to get yourself an opportunity to play on stream. Best chance as well to play against some of the best players in the game. And there's never been an easier way. There's never been an easier path, a faster path as well, a more fun path, in my opinion, to qualify to a above regional level of play. So get yourselves in there. All you need to do is play scrims. You've got a chance almost every week. The entry barrier has been removed and reduced to almost 0. Literally all you need is 3 teammates, sign up on Challenger mode, and get in there. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The qualified teams will be Fairy Tail, No Name, Foot Esports, Tung 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 Saru for the last time today. I'm going to need to call out that brain rot meme. We'll have Ascent, FaZe, and SlamG. And I think one of these teams is still missing. Am I right?
I think Vorpal Swords is meant to be in the middle there. I'm not sure if that's a graphics problem or if Vorpal Sword is doing some shady things with their org. Maybe they're switching teams or switching names for the finals. We'll see. But they should be on the top side of that leaderboard for sure. And if we're looking at the leaderboard, there they are, 57, 5th place. And again, Bushido got closer than I thought they would. But 4 points behind. Not enough for them. But so stacked at the top. So close between all of those teams that Foot have gotten themselves a little bit of a gap. But 59 to 51, 4th to 8th. Super stacked competition here.
Yeah, incredibly stacked. 47 points. Bushido is the last team to really have a chance at qualification. They will not make it through. It's not a good look, but I'm very sure we will see them again next week.
And they're going to dominate next week.
That's what I think as well, right? Maybe not dominate, but at least they will qualify in like 5th, 6th at the very least. That's going to be my prediction. Depending on how many of the depending on depending on all the partner teams, right? In my opinion, depending on all the partner teams that we've got in that lobby. But also, Formulation Gaming, to me, a little bit of a surprise. If we do have another minute to talk about this, would have expected a tiny bit more from them as well, but it's a good first showing. Right, it's the first time I'm casting them. It's if I'm not mistaken, one of the first times as well that they made it into the Players Tour, that they've even competed in the Players Tour. So it's good to see them now pick things up. You can see where they were struggling. It was the placement points. If not for the placement points, they have a really strong roster individually. We'll have to see how that one's going to work. If they stick together, you know, that there's some of these players, you know, have to get used to one another. I think a tiny bit more than maybe some of these top teams. But if it works, we'll see them in the final soon enough.
If it works, it does. And we have sorted out the graphic there. Vorpal swords are indeed Vorpal swords. No fancy business going on. They are going to be in the Super Cup finals, and we have another week of this. This is the last time I'll repeat this. Yeah, we have more scrims coming in next week, and we'll have another Player Cup next weekend, and then we'll see the other 8 teams that will make their way to the Super Cup. So more PUBG action coming at you. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more of this, there's also an Americas version that's going to be in a few hours. They're going to be kicking things off, and it's probably going to be Chunks and Gibson or something like that. So amazing fellas casting that as well. So if you want to watch more PUBG, that's your next best bet. And then we will see you guys in the EMEA next week for another Players Cup. So thank you for hanging out, Felix. Thank you for stepping in. And glad to have Mark back next weekend as well. I'm not partial, you know, everybody's okay, but thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. You guys out there have a great week.